We're back. Hello. It has been oh god, it's been over 2 years since we last did this. Hello and welcome. Yes, since we last spoke, none of us have spoken in over 2 years. Welcome to Sunday Night Brackets. I'm Jacob London.
Or as it's actually called, as I actually named it.
You name it.
Kid and Losers were doing movie brackets.
I'm the more straightforward.
You're like Sunday Night Brackets, and I'm like, no, that's not a marketable name. What are you doing?
That's not fun. That's not Taylor-esque.
No.
Guys, we're back. So the last time we did this, obviously, was back in 2021, and over 20 weeks, we went through and did 286 different IG movies from,
or as we affectionately called it, the Comic-Con movie bracket.
Yep. And it was a lot of fun. When we first pitched the idea, it was hey, just come on for 1 week. Just come on for 1 week, and if you enjoy it, come back. Otherwise, there was no commitment. There was no this is a forever thing. It was I honestly didn't think anyone was going to watch it. So we did that, and for some reason, these people kept turning up and they really enjoyed it. So let me finally actually reintroduce everyone here. Mara Canopic, hey, how are you?
What's up? I needed to grab some carrots.
That's Adam Collins, how are you?
I'm good. I didn't bring any carrots, but I have at least one beer and plenty of opinions. So I'm excited to get back into rare form.
And Marisol, how are you?
Feeling great. Happy to be back. I'm happy we're doing this. I brought some leprechaun juice because it is St. Patty's Day over here, still in our time. Yeah. So
that is pure juiced Warwick Davis, just so you're clear.
It is, yeah. It's juiced, yeah. It's juiced Warwick Davis.
That is one big change.
It's just a slight change.
I'm not doing not doing this with a paperweight sitting on my work laptop, so it looks like I'm working. I'm actually
it's actually here. Sunday for us.
It's a Sunday night. I'm not doing this in the middle of the day on a Monday pretending I'm working. It's great. I love it. So yeah, we're now
stateside now.
We're all not on the same time zone, but we're at least all within 3 hours now. So that's good. It's gonna make
we can all watch the Oscars at remotely the same time.
Right.
Yeah. So let me actually go through what we're doing for this bracket show. So this time, last time we did IG. This time we are doing 2010's movies. So about 2 months ago, we all sat down and we went through what were the films that were going to make it to the bracket, and we came up with this list of 286 films. A bracket only fits 256, so we have to whittle this down. We now have to whittle it down to be able to fit into the 256, and to do that, we have a wild card round that we're going to do today. Now, for the wild cards, I had some fairly loose rules in terms of how we did this. One was we tried our best to not include IG films.
Films we've already talked about.
So films we've already talked about. That's why you're not going to see any Marvel movies. There is not a single Marvel movie on this. There is not a single Star Wars movie on this. There are a couple of the Inner Geekdom films that were on last time that have made this bracket, mostly because I think they transcend
that category.
Yeah. Marisol, you're going to be annoyed about one in particular. I'm very sorry about that, but
I don't apologize. You know you did that on purpose to cause some drama.
So that if you're wondering why there are certain movies, certain major blockbusters not on this, that is why. More than likely, that is why. The other thing that we tried not to do was sequels. That's pretty much all sequels are in this wildcard bracket. That was the rule. If it was a sequel, I kind of put it in here. There are exceptions because there are I think there's 3 exceptions to it in this entire bracket.
And they're all in the wild card.
No, as in like in the actual bracket.
The real bracket?
There's 3 sequels in
I don't know, man.
So
about to find out.
Yeah, we will find out later. But this is
here we go.
It's been a while, so let's start off.
Let's do it. Rip off the Band-Aid.
Ripping off this with Olympus Has Fallen versus What's Your Number?
Oh, hell yes.
Yes, real easy right off the bat. To start with Marisol looking like, how the hell did these make the bracket?
Take a drink.
What are we doing now?
Again, this is the wild card. The wild card had movies that were not amazing.
Hey, I'm going to kick this off already by saying, don't you dare insult What's Your Number like that to my face. Okay?
So
don't,
let's start
don't
with you.
Even.
Let's start with you. Where are you going with?
Okay, so I'm definitely going with What's Your Number. Just for the fact that that movie is prime viewing if you are at all a Chris Evans fan for any reason, for so many reasons. All right, it's a must for all the very obvious aesthetic reasons that I don't need to go into. But it's also just super fun. Okay, I did not have an ounce of fun with Olympus Has Fallen. Contrary to everyone else who's ever seen that movie, I did not have any fun with it. I was so bored. It takes itself way too seriously. What's Your Number refuses to take itself seriously for even an instant. And just for the pure enjoyment value to me, I'll be going with What's Your Number?
Mara, I'm going to move to you.
All right. So I actually do really like Olympus Has Fallen. I prefer it to White House Down, personally. But I'm going to agree with Taylor in where my vote goes for this one. What's Your Number? And as far as the rom-com situation goes, it is different. Like, if it's actually a very unique feeling kind of rom-com. It doesn't like break a formula or anything. It still has plenty of cliches, like your third act miscommunication and, your reunion with, a semi-grand gesture, etc. But at the same time, some of the like small performances from the exes and stuff, it's fun and it's stupid. And as long as you don't try to take the relationship as a serious example of what a relationship should be, it's just fun and it's stupid. And it's also Anna Faris before she was like really, really Anna Faris. So I also think that it's kind of fun to see her act in that part of her career. So I'm also going to go with What's Your Number? It's just dumb fun.
Marisol.
Little quick disclaimer. So Olympus Has Fallen is which one? It's the second. Yeah, no.
Oh,
it's the first, the second, and the third. Okay, it's the first. Okay, all right. I was like, I know a lot of shit is falling in all of these movies. I can't remember what is falling in which one. Okay, so this is the first. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, got that out of the way. Now, so yes, I will agree. Simple logic. But this is like looking at two turds and trying to pick. Sorry, trying to pick which one smells a little more like, which one smells a little less like.
Do you guys remember how we started the last one? Do you guys remember what the first?
True.
It was Son of the Mask.
I will use some kind of relative deduction here. So Olympus Has Fallen is better than White House Down. And What's Your Number has, unfortunately, kind of the stench of like feeling like it was like a dusty project that was filmed like 4 years ago and then they released it, and that's the energy kind of I get from it. I think because Chris Evans got big and Anna Faris got big, they pushed the movie out. But I think Chris Evans in a rom-com is more interesting than even the Nanny Diaries, or obviously Not Another Teen Movie. That's peak Chris Evans rom-com. Let's be real. And I also am just happy that Anna Faris is starring in the movie. You know, I also am happy for that. But if you ask me which one tickles the low hanging like rom-com indulgences versus which one tickles the low hanging action like indulgences, I'm gonna go with Olympus Has Fallen. Sorry.
Okay, Adam, where are we landing with this one?
All right, so with What's Your Number, to be fair, you know, seeing it back to front has not officially happened. But I've caught bits and pieces, you know, and honestly, I don't know, not to jump ahead or not jump ahead, but I don't think They Came Together made the bracket. And that's my like rom-com like send up of the 2010s that I really love. And it just makes me want to watch that movie. But with Olympus Has Fallen, it's not great. Okay, I get it. It's fair. But the thing is, Gerard Butler has carved out this really unique little corner of macho cinema, and some of it is dull. I'll be honest with you. Like Last Seen Alive is really terrible. If you watch that, like it just makes you want to watch Breakdown with Kurt Russell so much more. But that said, Olympus Has Fallen, you know, of the White House Die Hard ripoffs that came out in the same year, I'm not gonna dog on White House Down too much. I think it has some good stuff in it, and maybe we'll get to that. But what I like about Olympus Has Fallen is that Gerard Butler, you know, once he gets through the first act, he just goes into murder mode, and it's justified at that point in the film. It's a little bleak. It's a little you know, repetitive in terms of its violence, and Melissa Leo deserves better. You know, she gets like between that franchise and the Equalizer franchise, I just can't take the Melissa Leo abuse anymore. But honestly, Olympus Has Fallen, I've seen it twice. The franchise is, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, say it's amazing, but they made 3 of those things, and I've seen them all, and I'd watch all of them again before What's Your Number. Sorry.
Before you get to your opinion, I just want to say that Jacob and I are on our own little community island, it seems, where we love White House Down.
Yeah, I love White House Down, and we'll get
That's
to
a
that.
fun
Like,
movie.
I much prefer White House Down.
It's way more like lighthearted for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot more fun, and I think that, and it's my kind of my big problem with Olympus Has Fallen. It takes itself way too seriously, and I just like and it's not in that like. I just can't have fun with it because the movie itself doesn't want is not wanting to kind of have fun. Like it's a weird thing I have with it. Like I just am like, this is way too serious for the.
This is serious shit. Okay, it's Olympus Has Fallen, Jacob. It's not funny.
We purposely watched this too, like a couple weeks ago, just to
back to back.
We watched them back to back just for this bracket.
That's and a day.
We did it. We made a day of it. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I have a question though.
To be fair, I didn't say I hated it. I just said I preferred this one to the other one. If I had to choose.
Who's a better villain though for the table? Who's a better villain between North Korea and James Woods? I'm just asking.
I think at least James Woods and Jason Clarke are having fun, but we'll get to that movie later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
The correct answer is James Woods, by the way. He is way worse than North Korea.
Even in real life, specifically, not even just as a character.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm going with What's Your Number? Just again because I just think it's funny. I think it's like a rom-com that kind of that's at least cute to an extent. There's parts of it that's funny. It's got a joke that I will always remember at the very end of the movie, which is you're like number 21, and then he's like number and starts to run off this like giant number, and she's just like, hey, you shut up. I think that's just funny. Like I don't know. I think you kind of summed it up perfectly, Marisol, where it's like, what am I picking between here? So What's Your Number makes it through on our
on a technicality
of the first one of the bracket.
All right,
next up.
Oh God.
Getting to the Greek versus Happy Death Day to You. Adam, as the horror aficionado, I'm going to start with you.
Well, don't sell Mara short.
I know. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh no, we're in this together, buddy. It's okay.
I know. But that said, Get Him to the Greek. That was that movie when it came out. I remember looking forward to it because I liked the rapport between Jonah Hill and Russell Brand. I almost forgot his name. And but their dynamic in Forgetting Sarah Marshall was better because it was more limited. And when you try and make a whole movie out of that, like, it just didn't sustain the laughter for me. There's tons of stuff in that movie that makes me laugh from what I recall.
That's not even the same character anymore. Jonah
No. It's maintaining the spirit of it, though. It's like it's a spiritual spinoff. I get that. It's not a sequel. That said, Happy Death Day to You is a really clever sequel that I really, really like, because the first movie is a horror version of the Groundhog Day premise that is really clever and really enjoyable to watch. But when they get to the sequel, some people might say they overcomplicate it, but I think they offer just a fun twist to it that kind of like adds more like genre twist to it, that if you haven't seen it, I just don't want to ruin the movie. Yeah. But if you've only seen the first one, you really owe it to yourself to see the second movie. And I love the performances in it. I love the sense of humor, and I like that it becomes essentially a sci-fi franchise in the second movie. So Happy Death Day to You is definitely my pick between these two. Not even a question.
Mara?
Every single thing that he said and more. Sequels are already hard. Horror sequels especially hard. And the Groundhog Day premise alone is hard. So the fact that they managed to like take those three things and make a movie and actually still make it good and still make it engaging, totes to them. Like, hats off. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually rewatched it, for this, and also just because I really enjoy it, when I was on my flight back to the United States. So just a couple days ago, totally holds up. I'd really like to see them continue working on this. I think that there's places they can go with it as long as they still keep it fresh. And the reveal of there's a reveal, and I was actually surprised by it. So again, as a horror person, it's very difficult to surprise me, but there's a twist on the twist that I was like, okay. So yeah, hands down, Happy Death Day to You.
All right. Taylor.
So yeah, this one's gonna be pretty easy for me as well. I think I like Get Him to the Greek more than most people do. Not as much as I used to on a rewatch. But one thing I really appreciate about Get Him to the Greek is it was kind of the coming out, so to speak, of how awesome Rose Byrne is to a very big audience that maybe hadn't been familiar with her before. I think she absolutely kills it in that movie. I think some of the songs are kind of clever, but I do think it doesn't hold up as well over time. And I do think, like everyone else said, sequels are so hard. Horror sequels are nearly impossible. And this just pulls off the premise it's going for so incredibly well. And it just feels like such a cool continuation of the universe we were introduced to in the first one. It's really cool getting to spend more time with those characters. It's devastating to me, and I have a hard time rewatching it just because I'm like, we're never going to get the third one, and it depresses me so much. That's not like, we finally get a good...
I have hope.
You know what? I want to have hope.
He left Scream 7, so maybe.
Yeah, well, he's not doing Scream 7 anymore.
So maybe he'll come back to this. Just out of spite, he'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to find horror stuff that's just consistent through all of the movies. And having two, even though it's just two, having two is kind of a miracle to do that. I think Jessica Roth is amazing. Like, the fact that she's not in more stuff makes me really sad, because she's great in this and she's great in all the things I've seen her in. Again, not enough things, but she is great. So I love that. Like I said, this is a pretty easy one for me.
All right. Marisol.
Yeah, this one's easy for me too. Get Him to the Greek is I think, my memories of it, it's one of the worst aspects of the Apatow era, where it's just a whole movie that feels like it's all improvised and it's meandering. And it was riding off the high of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And they made a whole movie about this character. And I can't one of the worst things. Like I keep thinking about the movie. Every time I think about the movie, I think about that drawn out threesome scene towards the end with like Russell Brand and Jonah Hill and Elizabeth Moss. That it's just painful, that scene. But then I also think about the awesome highlight of the movie where P. Diddy like loses his shit on like everybody at his flat. And Jonah Hill's like inhaling the carpet because he's so high off his ass. Like there's some hilarious bonkers moments in that movie, but the most of it is indicative of I think the worst aspects of the Apatow era. Like just kind of meandering movie, a little dramatically inert, like Funny People a little bit for me. But Happy Death Day to You, yeah, Taylor, I'll completely co-sign. Jessica Roth, her, even from that one and the first one, her expressions, how like her face, the expressions that she makes, it's the first thing I think about when I think about these movies, and how deep and darkly hilarious and scathing her looks are in these movies. And that alone is a reason to rewatch them, along with all you guys were saying about the super clever blend of like this sci-fi groundhog fantasy element with horror. Easily Happy Death Day to You for me. I think that stands the test of time more than Get Into the Greek.
I'm not going to take up too much time. I co-sign everything. It's Happy Death Day to You. I will say Get Into the Greek. Like, I'm not a fan of that movie for the most part, but I will say that concert's awesome at the end of the movie. The actual concert at the end of the movie, like where the movie's building to him getting to put on this concert, it's pretty awesome. Like I was like, okay, cool. I think these songs work, and they're kind of like, all right, this is fun. But Happy Death Day to You is just, I love both of these movies. They're the Scream spiritual successor we got, and then hey, cool, this guy's now going to be able to do a Scream movie, and then Skydance had to ruin all of that. But yeah. Oh no, sorry, Spyglass, not Skydance. Sorry, I'm throwing Skydance under the bus.
I mean, valid also.
What about Spy Dance?
Yeah. All right, so Happy Death Day to You moves on to round 2. Next up, we have A Monster Calls versus 22 Jump Street. Marisol, I'm going to start with you.
Oh no! I've never seen. I haven't seen either of these films. Yeah.
I'm shocked you haven't seen 22 Jump Street.
I mean, I've seen parts of it. Honestly, I've seen parts of it, and I really do like the first one. I like the first one. I'm gonna.
Well, if you want, maybe you should go last.
I didn't realize you hadn't seen
Maybe we
either.
won't need the vote.
It's fine.
Which one do you want to watch more?
I want to watch. Which one is higher on my watch list is Jay Bayona's The Monster Calls. The thought of like Liam Neeson voicing this monster, and I really, it gives me this, every time I look at a trailer for this movie, it gives me real Shel Silverstein vibes. Like I feel like this really, I feel like I'm gonna get a really heart-wrenching, really intimate story. Correct me if I'm wrong for the guys who saw it, but 22 Jump Street, I'm sure, I know it's funny because I know the first one is funny. I'm sure it's funny, but I'm okay with the first one. Like I didn't feel super compelled to watch the second one. Not taking anything away, but that's as surface as I can get without having seen either of these.
You have to be a tiebreaker. Think of something if you have to be a tiebreaker. Mara, I'm going to go to you.
I'm going to go with 22 Jump Street because I actually, again, I think comedy sequels super, super hard. I think that this one rivals its original in its comedy. I agree with Jeffrey Kahn in the comments. The My Name is Jeff bit. I will laugh at it every single time. It was my personal introduction to Wyatt Russell. I didn't really know who he was. Definitely didn't know who he was related to. And I think that he's great. Comedy's hard. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy it. And for me, A Monster Calls just doesn't appeal to me as much as other people because I think that the emotional beats and the story and the basis of why the monster exists is just like really derivative. It's very beautiful. Like it looks visually stunning, but I found nothing like moving about the story that needed to make it exist because I've seen about 5 or 6 other movies that are kind of similar to it. But it's breathtakingly beautiful though. So I wouldn't be upset with it if it moved on, but I'm gonna go with 22 Jump Street.
Okay. Tell.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one because I think 22 Jump Street is just as good as 21 Jump Street. I think they're both funny. Like, and comedies are really hard for me just because I find generally what most people find like a general audience likes about comedy. Usually I just kind of miss the boat on it for some reason. Like, my sense of humor is just different than a lot of people. So it's really hard for me to like a comedy that everyone praises a lot of the time. I don't know. So I do like these two movies. I think for me, A Monster Calls, I just love, like Mara was saying, just the aesthetics of it. It's gorgeous visually. And I do really like the story. I just think for me, it's tough because like I like them for different reasons. But for me, I think I'm gonna have to go with A Monster Calls just because I do think visually, like what it accomplishes is so stunning, and I think that's such a cool thing to like have in a time where it feels like we don't get those kind of movies as much, or at least we weren't at the time. So to just have something so distinctive artistically, I think is really, really cool. So I'm gonna go with The Monster Calls.
Okay. Adam?
Yeah, so like again, Monster Calls, to be fair, I've only seen the opening act. But I mean, it came out at a time when I feel like a few of those things ran together. You know, we had a Monster Calls, the BFG. And Pete's Dragon.
Yes.
And David Lowery's Pete's Dragon, for me, is the one that nailed that formula. I find the original Pete's Dragon interminable. I watched it a few years ago, and it was torture. There's some beautiful animation in it, but it is a god-awful film, and in my opinion. And then for David Lowery to remake it and change it in a way that updated it and commented on some things that we're dealing with in the 21st century without overstating it. I really like that movie. And the only reason I bring that all up is because A Monster Calls, to me, capitalized on a time when this formula was really popular. And I'm not trying to cast the film off because I think, you know, like from what I've seen, it's emotionally earnest. But 22 Jump Street is the film that I thought was going to fall on its face. And it's so funny. And for my part, like those two movies kind of blend together. Sometimes it's hard for me to separate certain elements of them, which isn't a terrible thing because I think they're both quite hilarious. 22 is the one where Jillian Bell has a dominant presence, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember her just sending me into stitches.
Holy shit. I've seen this movie.
So you have seen this movie.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You've seen,
Yeah, you have seen it.
Yeah. Like I said, they blend together. But 22 Jump Street, I think is hilarious. I think it's kind of perfect that we only got the two. I wouldn't be mad at a third one, even in 10 years from now. But like, I think 22 is kind of great because I expected it to suck, and I was so proven wrong. So I vote for 22 Jump Street.
It's better that we got the montage at the end of all of the ones that we'll never get than actually getting any of them.
Well, I always thought if they did the third, if they did do 20, it wouldn't be 23. It would be the sequel after they've done all of those movies. Like that's the joke. We've missed all of those movies, and it's just like this is because I think they end. I think they end on 50. I think that's what they end. I can't remember. I think they end on 50, and so it's like the next one is 51 Jump Street or something, and that's just what they called it. And they just like skipped every single one of them. I thought that would have been the funny way to do it. I really loved 22 Jump Street for a long time from my memory, and then I rewatched it for this bracket, and I went, wow, this has not held up. I couldn't believe how much I actually really did enjoy it going through watching it again this year. And I was like, oh, there's a lot about this that just isn't funny, that just drags, that I think it's too long. And it's the same problem I had with the first one, I think. But I think most comedies are too long. And I'm kind of torn on this because I also think I'm kind of like you, Mara, where Monster Calls kind of doesn't work for me as well either. But I am going to lean with A Monster Calls just because of how visually stunning that movie is. Like, I do agree. Like, I think visually that movie is incredible. And that I think there is enough in there where I'm like, no, there's a lot that I can grab onto here. I couldn't believe how much 22 Jump Street just did not hold up for me when I went through and watched it again. I was like, oh man, I get over these jokes real quick. Like I get over the like, oh, it's just this, you know, we're doing the sequel jokes, and they just didn't land for me a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go with
the you fuck the captain's daughter thing. I will like my pants.
That I will admit, that entire sequence still holds up and is still the hardest I have ever laughed in a movie theater.
Wait, Johnny Depp was in love with Ice Cube's daughter.
Yeah, Schmidt fuck the captain's daughter.
Oh my god, I've seen this movie. This is the weirdest thing.
Scene,
sorry, could you?
Sorry, I will. That scene is the hardest I have ever laughed in a movie theater. Where when Channing Tatum realizes what's happening, it's played perfectly. It is so perfectly well done, to the point where I'm half considering swapping my phone.
He's such a beautiful idiot in those movies.
God damn, I forgot just how good that scene is.
All right.
That scene is
what's your final verdict?
Okay. Because it has the high of that moment. The Monster Call doesn't have the high. It has lower lows, but it doesn't have that high. The high of that joke alone gets the vote. I'm going with 22 Jump Street. No, I'm sorry. Yep.
I wasn't even trying to persuade anybody. I just wanted to celebrate that moment because it's so funny.
My brain just went, oh my God, I forgot about that moment. Yeah, because that's always been, so there's that and Booksmart are the two hardest I have ever laughed in a movie theater. And like Booksmart wasn't in a movie theater because Australia didn't get it, but like it's the hardest I've ever laughed in movies.
The Uber scene or the lift or whatever.
The lift scene in Booksmart, but we'll get to it when we talk about Booksmart. But 22 Jump Street, when Janko realizes, it's the hardest I've ever laughed, and it's one of my all-time favorite moments in comedy. So yeah, I'm gonna go 22 Jump Street.
I'm gonna
have our first swap
after the show.
We do. That's what we're three in, and someone swapped. Oh, good, and it was me.
Setting a good example here.
Yeah. Oh God. All right.
No one said "fuck you, Jacob" yet, though. So
Not
this is
yet.
We're not there yet.
I also think it was
Jacob, you're a real son of a bitch.
I think it was worth it just so that we could have in real time the evidence of Marisol realizing she has actually seen one of these.
Oh shit! I have seen that picture.
I think it's not a case for it that I can't remember that I saw it. I think that's not a good case for it. I think I still need to stick with the Monster Calls. Yeah.
It's like a piecemeal hotel movie.
Yeah. Well, with that, 22 Jump Street does move on. All right. Next up.
God. What do we got?
The Great Gatsby versus Now You See Me.
Oh, good Christ. All right.
I'm going to start with this one. I have fun with Now You See Me. I actually have like a lot of fun watching this movie, and it's dumb. Like it's really dumb, but I have fun with a lot of it. Great Gatsby's an awful film. Like it's genuinely awful. I can't have fun with that movie. I can't like really enjoy any of it. Tobey Maguire is horrifically miscast. Like so horrifically miscast that I just am sitting like dumbfounded by majority of that movie. So yeah, I'm going with Now You See Me.
Okay. Well, this one hurts me as someone who loves Baz Luhrmann more than most people, more than the actual Australian sitting here that is a traitor for how much he doesn't like Baz Luhrmann.
Traitor.
But this one hurts me because I don't like the book, The Great Gatsby. Like, I just have a problem with the story generally. So seeing the movie version of it is already not like something that I enjoy. Just in school, never liked the book. After school, never liked the book. Just couldn't get into it. So the movie is hard for me to get through just from a story perspective. But then as someone who also does not like Tobey Maguire, just generally, and he's definitely miscast in this movie, like it's really tough for me because I think aesthetically it's really nice. Like I like the costume design. I think the set design is really cool. But it's just, I rewatched it recently to make sure it wasn't just like a younger me thing. It's rough. It's real rough, and that breaks my heart. I hate that. Now You See Me, again, like you said, it's just fun. It's such a ridiculous premise where you have to sit there and go, I have to suspend every ounce of disbelief I could possibly have to just go with what this movie's doing. But I think it's fun. I think the cast is fun. They're having a great time. I like that it's called Now You See Me, but the fact the sequel's not called Now You Don't is just
The dumb.
absurd.
Snap.
Yeah.
It's absurd that it's not called that. It will bother me for the rest of forever. But I'm still gonna vote for Now You See Me.
Mara.
I agree with Taylor so much about everything about The Great Gatsby. Like, from a production value standpoint, I almost want to throw it a vote because it is like extra so much. And I'm also kind of with you a little bit about the story. Personally, I think it's just because I hate Daisy Buchanan as a character. She's just so pathetic. It's like, "Oh, you have such beautiful shirts." It's like, okay, I just way to ruin it for everybody. So yeah, no, I'm just gonna throw it to Now You See Me because it's just, I could throw it on and I could watch it and I wouldn't be angry about it.
I actually the Great Gatsby loses a vote strictly because it makes me hate Carey Mulligan in that movie, and how
should never
you
hate her.
exactly like I just Marisol.
Yeah, no, this is really easy for me. And I don't think Now You See Me is an amazing movie, but it is a really simple, it's a broad, easy, crowd-pleasing movie that makes magicians look so cool. Like this movie is like magicians.
I want you to repeat that phrase.
No, yeah, like this movie. No, Now You See Me is like magicians fuck. Like, you know, like it's just like it makes them look so cool, and it's like magicians. If the magicians were all in the Italian Job, and that's a really, I feel like that's like the pitch, the elevator pitch for this movie. It's really broad, easy, crowd pleasing. I remember seeing this movie in theaters. My audience was having a blast with this, like so easy. People were like, "Oh snap!" Like in so many moments in this movie. Those memories are really good. Great Gatsby. I do like actually remember the book from school. I like the book. It's just stretched out in such an elaborate bore here in a film version. Production design is sick. I will say for the Great Gatsby, this soundtrack slaps. I hated the movie, but when I saw this movie, I listened to the soundtrack on repeat like nobody's business. Love the soundtrack for this movie. It's insane. But the movie, you're spending so much time steeping in these miserable characters. I do agree about Tobey Maguire being miscast. Leo DiCaprio was still so young looking. You could have flipped him and Tobey, and that would have been a little more convincing for like Leo to be the wide-eyed, like one in this movie. But Great Gatsby also gave us the Leo meme, the Leo toasting meme. So we cannot deny the cultural impact of Great Gatsby. I use that meme so much. I use that gift so much. But it's still Now You See Me for sure, like what you guys were saying, just sheer broad, easy, crowd-pleasing fun of it. And Great Gatsby is so long. It's so long. and no. That's it.
I do want to say, for the way that Pitch Perfect gave us magicians being like, oh, they have these giant Star Wars posters and pop out of these giant boxes and they're a little weird. Now You See Me was like, actually they're rock stars. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Adam.
Generally speaking, I don't trust magicians. And Now You See Me is a film that reinforces that.
There's obviously a very specific story attached to
it. But it is breezy, like everyone's been saying. It's a fun ensemble piece. It's just good to see these actors together. And once was enough for me with Now You See Me. I haven't seen the sequel, to be fair. And it's interesting you mentioned the length of Great Gatsby, and I agree, because watching that movie took longer than finishing the book for me personally. The book is not that long and pretty to the point, and the movie's not. And we can talk about casting. You could have just thrown in Elijah Wood for Tobey Maguire. He's eternally youthful. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, it's just, look, you love Boz. That's cool. But I personally, I'm not crazy about his adaptations for the most part. There are a couple exceptions. I don't like this movie. And you know what? There's you guys all said nice things about it already. I'm not going to echo that. I vote for Now You See Me in this particular situation.
Soundtrack though, bump that soundtrack for Great Gatsby.
Sure, and Champagne and Lana Del Rey and everything.
Lana Del Rey, Sia, Fergie, everybody cooking on that soundtrack.
Very anachronistic and hip, but I'm not voting for it.
All right, next up we have our first repeat movie in Predators versus The Help. So Predators.
Oh yeah. I love this matchup. I want to see this. I want to see this actual fight in the Predator, Alien versus Predator franchise.
Adam, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so I'm not even going to mince words.
Shit, Isla Fisher isn't both.
I definitely vote for Predators. It's not even a question. I'm not going to waste too much time. Predators is one of the better films in the franchise. You know, it's in my personal top 3 of the Predator movies easily. So much fun to watch. It is basically the setup of a Saw movie in the Predator universe, and I love that. You know, I have all these random people just mixed together. Where the fuck did you come from? What's going on? God damn it! And then all Predators show up, and Walton Goggins is just in a jumpsuit, which I love. They just keep him in a jumpsuit even though they're in space. Makes no sense. Predators is really, really fun. Lawrence Fishburne coming in there for, you know, the one day they had him on set, making it count. But also it's just visually like something you can keep track of. You know, after Requiem, Predators was just such a jump up and a reminder that, hey, this premise still kicks if you want it to. And, you know, I really dig Predators. The Help is, you know, it's got lots of great actors in it, and there's some good jokes about fecal matter, but I just don't like it. So Predators is my vote.
I echo that. I look, as someone who the first time who saw Predators in theaters and really didn't like it when he was younger because he's an idiot. I like when both these movies came out the same year, funny enough. Or no, they didn't. Predators was 2010. Sorry. Near enough. And I would have, 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, I like The Help more. And now, no. I'm like, I think Predators is awesome. It is a lot of fun. It's kick-ass. The Help, obviously, I think has 2 incredible performances from Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis. I think both of those performances that they give are fantastic, and I still believe to this day Viola Davis deserved the Oscar for this instead of Fences. But anyway, well, maybe both. I think she deserved an Oscar for both, but she should have been a Best Actress winner for The Help. That being said, I'm going to go with Predators because it's just it's fun, it's gory, it's violent, and I just have so much fun with it.
Yeah. So this one's easy for me as well. Predators is my favorite Predator movie. I know that's like a crime against humanity to say. I don't care.
Not own it. Go.
I just have so much fun with it. I think it's such a cool way to use the premise, like Adam was talking about. You're dropping all these people in, you don't know where they are, you don't know what's happening. It's this crazy sci-fi mystery movie, and then all of a sudden it's a Predator movie. And it's just so cool. I think the cast really works well as an ensemble together. I think the horror elements of it are really cool. Like the freaking hallway scene where it's like all red and you have no idea what the hell is going on. Like incredible. I just have so much fun with it. I think it's really well made. I think it's a great example of when you take movies like these seriously and give them the care that they deserve instead of just kind of trying to throw a predator in something and being like, that'll work. I'm sure it's fine as long as the predator's there. So I really like it. I haven't seen The Help on purpose. Just the way that people kind of talk about it now versus when it came out. because I didn't get around to seeing it when it came out, and the way people talk about it now, just being like, yeah, probably not. That doesn't really hold up. I just haven't made it a priority when I have so many movies that that are on my watch list that I need to invest my time in. It's just never been at the top of my list. So I'm going with Predators.
Marisol.
Yeah, no, this is a no-brainer for me. The Help was DOA on arrival for me. This is holy driving Miss Daisy, holy Green Book. Like this is such simplistic race relations, and it's, thank God Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer are in there, but this is just so painfully vanilla way to look at race relations in the past. I got a lot of things to say about The Help. I'm not gonna say them all, but man, this movie, this is such a stinker. This is stinkier than that shit pie. All right, in the movie. But it's such a painfully twee and simplistic and false and falsely sentimental way to look at race relations, and simplistic way to look at race relations. I hopefully, thankfully, this didn't win like all the big things. But it's sad that it was a big Oscar contender the year it came out. Yeah, well, that's fair. But yeah, this movie, like you said, Taylor, this movie has aged poorly, and it's going to continue to age poorly because it is of those movies I mentioned. It is of that ilk, and there's not a lot to gain from it. It is a movie of the past. It is a movie with an archaic viewpoint, an archaic view and simplistic view on race relations. As much as it tries to act like it's a happy and more empowering movie, it's false. So easy choice for me. Predators, like we were saying, the best way these Predators movies are is when they're so simplistic and not simplistic, when they're just focused and stripped down and really, really tight. That's why the first one, this one, and Prey are by far the best Predator movies, because of the really laser focused, really primal nature of them. Love Adrian Brody, love him, just showing another layer to him, being just this grizzled badass lead character. First time I ever saw Mahershala Ali in a movie, so thank you, Predators. Yeah,
a lot of Oscar winners in that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And nominees.
And nominees, yeah. No, but yeah, just from the opening scene of Predators, where he's like falling out of the sky and you don't know where you are, and you're just inserted right in the what the fuckery of the movie, and it goes right from there. And then he hits the ground, and like the title comes up. Predators is killer. I do like Prey just a little hair more. I think Prey is even tighter than Predators, but it is. I agree with you, Taylor. It's one of the absolute best Predator movies.
Mara?
I'm going to go with The Help. Give it its pity vote. No. All right.
You had me convinced.
No. Although Khan did take the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
no one has ever said, you know what, I should rewatch The Help.
Never.
Even before Interdictum happened, I've rewatched Predators a bunch. Like, that movie is it's fun. I think it actually really pulled off the hey, they're not on Earth premise. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, what? I also like the fact that they included basically the Yautja racism. Like, there's actually racism in both these movies, and Predators does it better because they have the big Yautja and then the classic Predator. Yep. And also, I'm gonna let nepotism be my guide, because Derek Mears, who is one of the nicest human beings on the entire planet of Earth, plays the classic Predator in Predators. So I'm gonna vote for the movie that the nicest human being ever is in, and that's Predators.
All right, Predators makes it through. We've had a few 5-0s so far, which has been.
We're starting off very, very.
We're easing everyone in.
We're all like, hey, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
This next one's designed specifically to hurt me.
Yeah, this is gonna break your heart specifically.
So we have Ridley Scott's Robin Hood versus Fright Night. I'm gonna start.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. I have a massive, deep love for Ridley Scott's Robin Hood. I love this movie so much.
Go.
My Uber's here.
Yeah, I know that it's not great. I know a lot of people really don't like it. I love it because I I kind of look at it like, cool. Someone decided to do Game of Thrones with Robin Hood. I was like, all right, that's interesting. As in, like, kind of stripped back the mythology of it all, and just when I'm just going to tell like a medieval tale of like, I don't know. I just kind of like the whole medieval vibes of it again, and so I really enjoy this, especially when compared up against that piece of crap 2018 Taron Egerton one, because that movie's terrible. That movie is awful. But this one I have a lot of fun with. I really enjoy how they approach this story and the way they do it. And it really sucks because I love Fright Night too. I really love Colin Farrell's Fright Night. Because I think no one else is going to go, I'm going to give Robin Hood its vote from like just a tiny little bit. But Fright Night's awesome. Fright Night's so awesome. And if it makes it through, I'm going to be happy. But I just needed to say, I really love the Ridley Scott Robin Hood. So yeah, that was
okay. I'm just going to get this over with real quick because I haven't seen Fright Night. Okay. So we're going with Robin Hood. I really like it too. I'm with you. I love it. I think it's so fun. Oscar Isaac as Prince John is inspired. A+. I've tried to get around to watching Fright Night before we did this, but I just ran out of time. I will watch it at some point. If it wins or when it wins, whatever, I'm sure that I'll be like, yeah, awesome, great. But at the moment, I'm going with Robin Hood.
Mara.
I'm not going to belabor the point because honestly, I don't see either one of these making it another round, probably. So I'm not heavily invested in it. And I'm going to go with Fright Night because anytime you do a remake, there's the chance to get it just horrifically wrong. And I don't think Fright Night did that. I do think it's a really fun remake. And I think it was well cast. It's a little bittersweet to watch now, obviously. But I have a lot of fun with it. So I'm not even dumping on Robin Hood. Per se, I was just being funny because I like to hurt Jacob, but I'm gonna throw a vote to Fright Night, but I'm not angry at either of these two because I don't think either one of them is going anywhere. So Fright Night.
Marisol.
Yeah, this isn't too. This is a little closer, than I think. Robin Hood, I mean, the best Robin Hood movie of the past like 50 years is obviously Men in Tights. So what are we doing here? So
it's not the fuckable fox.
No. 50 years. I said 50. Wait, yeah. When is the Disney? It doesn't matter.
She thought about it.
I did think about it. I mean, if you twist my arm, I'm gonna watch Men in Tights more than the animated Robin Hood. I mean, I do love the animated Robin Hood, but Men in Tights, though, come on.
Oh yeah, no, the movie is amazing.
But yeah, so but I can't deny Fright Night. Hello, Colin Farrell wooing Toni Collette in that whole movie. Like Colin Farrell is sex on legs in that movie, and you know, all due respect. Yeah. You know, I mean that academically.
Yes.
But yeah.
I think the resemblance is uncanny.
Yes. Again, the casting is the greatest strength of that movie. I think it still keeps it elevated, even if it's not the most imaginative remake. And I think it is more imaginative and more playful and enjoyable than the remake of Robin Hood. So I'm going to give it to Fright Night.
I mean, look, I am totally in respect of that. I mean, you know, making David Tennant goth is an inspired choice. Like, it's amazing to see that. And it's just like, oh, this is awesome every single time he turns up on screen. So, yeah. Adam, you've got the deciding vote. Where are you going?
Okay. So, yeah, like, I love Robin Hood being public domain. So, like, we get one every year, basically. and that's cool. But, like, I appreciate the swing. I appreciate the cojones to just make Russell Crowe Robin Hood at that point in his career. There's nothing wrong with an older Robin Hood. That's kind of awesome, honestly. But like it also seemed kind of perfunctory for Crowe and Scott to do something like that. It's like, well, we haven't done a Robin Hood. Let's do that. God damn it. and so good on them. Some fun action. But it's got that gray out motif, which is just which is very
Nice little
popular at the
dower,
time.
yeah.
You know, like and what I like about the Fright Night remake is I still like the original more from the 80s, but I love the inspired casting and the way they updated it. I will watch Toni Collette in anything. I think she's one of the best actors of our generation, and like even when she's given the role of just the mom in Fright Night, where she's like, I'm just unlucky in dating, she's still fun, she's still interesting. Colin Farrell's obviously awesome, and yes, a very sexy fellow. He got me through season 2 of True Detective. But Anton Yelchin was just such a talent, as we've all been talking about, and I think this movie really is just a great encapsulation of his charisma and his soft-spoken charisma, and he just really carries this movie. The cast is awesome. He's surrounded by a great cast, but he's the heart of the movie, and he gives it more soul than even though I like the original more, the remake has a bit of heart to it because of his performance, I feel like. So I like Fright Night. I vote for it.
All right. So Fright Night makes it through. All right. So next up, well, we already talked about Olympus Has Fallen. And let's move on to White House Down versus John Wick Chapter 2.
Ah!
Okay.
Mara, I'm going to start with you on this one.
All right. This is a little simple for me. I don't hate White House Down, by the way. I don't. But John Wick Chapter 2 is my favorite of the sequels because it expanded the lore, but it didn't go too far. Just personal preference. They got a little too long after 2. Like it just became a little much. And I don't know. The last one, I swear to God, if he had fallen down those stairs one more fucking time, I was going to get him. Like I love hand-to-hand combat. I love choreographed action. I think that stunt performers are some of the actual best actors in Hollywood, and they are underappreciated. But I just needed to stop so badly.
I think that someone else feels the same way about Chapter 4 that I do. I've never met anyone who didn't like Chapter 4 other than me. I just think Chapter 4 I don't think it's an awful movie. I'm the exact same. It's far too long. Far too long. Anyway, sorry.
No, but I feel like 2 kind of threaded the sequel needle because like we found out more about the world. I didn't feel like John Wick was indestructible quite yet in that movie. I like it slightly, almost a little tiny bit better than 1, just because I didn't have to watch a dog die. Because it's really hard for me to watch that first movie. And I appreciate that it has practical stunt work. So from a craft standpoint, for craftsmanship, I'm going to go with John Wick Chapter 2. No shade on White House Down. It is a great movie to have on in the background whenever you're doing just about anything. So no shade.
Yeah, we've already gone over the fact that I think White House Down is the superior White House going down, being attacked movie of that year.
That subgenre.
Like, of that subgenre that happened to be the exact same year. But I do think John Wick Chapter 2 is on par for me with the first John Wick movie, whereas like 3 and 4 I like to varying degrees, but I think the first 2 are really solid. And I think White House Down is probably easier for me to watch. Like if I just wanted to put something on to watch, White House Down is fun, but I think John Wick Chapter 2 is the better movie for sure, for aesthetic reasons, for stunt reasons, for all of the reasons basically. So I'm going to go with Chapter 2.
Adam.
I'm longingly staring at my John Wick Chapter 2 Blu-ray right now on my shelf. It's true. I'm looking at it. It's right over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna see where.
And I'll watch it later. But let's give White House Down some credit. Like we've said. White House Down came out after Olympus Has Fallen, if memory serves, right?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen was April. White House Down was
later the
Yeah.
same year. It was like July.
White
Yeah,
House Down
yeah.
got ignored. Like it didn't like make no money, but I remember it really wasn't much of it wasn't in the conversation. It never got a sequel like Olympus Has Fallen. But I think what it deserves credit for is Roland Emmerich doesn't make amazing movies all the time. He's made a lot of you know what's funny? She and I don't know how this happened. We like YouTube was just rolling after a video, and somehow it started playing 2012 with ads.
YouTube was trolling us. Because YouTube was trolling us, and it pulled up 2012.
And we walked into the room
Yeah.
after it had been like playing for like a half hour, and we watched a good 40 minutes of 2012 with ads on YouTube, and we don't know why. And we were like, "This sucks." The White House
so
Down.
angry.
It's a really bad movie. Like the whole third act with the ships, but the White House Down is so much fun because Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum are both on the level with that movie. They really, really get it.
Yeah.
And it's a very underrated action movie, action comedy, honestly, in a way. And I think it's one of the stronger things Roland Emmerich's done later in his career. So give it all the credit in the world. But like everyone's been saying, John Wick Chapter 2, even though I love 3 and 4, I unabashedly like 4 is the most indulgent of all of them. I completely agree. But the reason it made my favorite films of the year is for that reason. I'm addicted to John Wick, for better or worse. I can't help it. It's like an involuntary reaction. I just love this character. I love Keanu like transcending his own mythology as John Wick in a way. It's just kind of weird. But when you go back to the first 2 movies, they're the 2 pinned down ones. And the second one is great because it does expand the story without getting out of control. And let's give a shout out to Common in John Wick 2, because that ongoing feud between Cassian and John Wick is one of the best things in that movie. And whenever I rewatch John Wick Chapter 2, I love their rivalry throughout it. And I still hold out hope that if they ever make a John Wick 5, Cassian's going to come back. He was on that train. We didn't see him expire.
Die. Yeah.
We, like John Wick's
die.
like, hey, don't pull that out or you're gonna bleed out. But like, I hope Cassian comes back. That's my hope if we ever see a John Wick 5. But I really love that second movie. So let's see it keep going. See how far it goes.
Marisol.
I have little to contribute to this conversation past what's been said. I will just say this. It's really hard to top fun and going for it is hard to top against the elegance and the choreography and the production design and the sheer adherence to stunt excellence that is a John Wick series. I will give them that. So I'm going to give it to John Wick 2. We can move on.
Real quick as well. Again, Wood said, White House Down, you're a lot of fun. You're not John Wick. Like you're not one of the John Wick movies. And that's just, it's funny. Like out of the original trilogy, aside from 4, like out of these 3 movies, I think this is the weakest of the 3, but it's like by like an inch. Because I really love 3. Like I really love 3. But I still really love like the whole catacombs fight. Like I really love that they actually like show him planning it. Like there's a lot of things that this movie does that's just really awesome and just really cool. And like John Wick 2, it takes everything that works from the first movie and just expands it and makes it even better. So John Wick Chapter 2 moves on to the next round. All right. We are we're going through this one. Will be our halfway through the first round of this bracket. We have the Runaways versus Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stop.
Oh,
I actually find this matchup intriguing.
It is.
Me
I
too.
was just like,
It's
oh
movies.
wow. That like
yeah.
there's this randomizer and you're just like, you actually have a weird you kind of know what you're doing, but it's weird. And then there's other times where it's like, you just hate me specifically. Marisol, I'm going to start with you, actually.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is the first matchup where I think these are 2 good movies against each other. Honestly, Runaways is a great movie that introduced a lot of people to a past generation of music. I learned a lot. Like it was a great. I knew enough about Joan Jett and the Runaways, but I learned a little bit more watching the movie, and the performances are all really game. I love Kristen Stewart and Dakota Fanning in this movie. I think it's a really solid music biopic that doesn't candy coat too much, and without getting too creepy, which is a good nod to the direction. Runaways was directed by a lady, I think, right? Maybe, I don't know. Somebody fact check that for me. If not, that's cool. But Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, never stops being funny. That movie, oh my god, the Usher scene in that movie. I mean, this movie is humbling. All right, it's so humble. All right, how funny this movie is. I think about this. This is my personal favorite. Sorry to all the fans of Hot Rod out there. This is my personal favorite, like, Lonely Island movie that they did. Like, them going out there and making a movie. I think this one is the funniest. I think this is the sharpest and the funniest and works the best as like a satire. This is really, really, really close. But if you ask me which movie I want to rewatch tomorrow, I'm going to say Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. I think this is the best, Lonely Island movie. But yeah, people don't talk about the Runaways enough. That's a really solid biopic. That movie deserves a lot of credit too. I'm going to pick Popstar though.
It was directed by a female, Floria.
Yes.
So, yeah. She has also done. Actually, I think that is literally her only. Oh no, she did a film called The Turning, and she has a new movie coming called The Silence of Mercy.
Okay,
so
there you go.
3 films. Mara.
I don't find The Runaways to be like any more unique than a lot of other music biopics. I like music biopics. I find them enjoyable, but I really like when they feel unique and really different, which is hard. Popstar really feels like a unique comedy, and especially the longer we get away from when it was made, because I actually feel like it's more relevant now than when it was made. Mm-hmm. And because I rewatched it before the bracket show, actually, just because I wanted to. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's almost like the Scream 4 sort of scenario where it's like, oh my God, this movie had it pat down like way before we did, just kind of eerily predicting our own future. And like the comedy is almost more funny, and it is like a laugh a minute, but I don't mind it. It doesn't actually feel inundating because the jokes hold up. So if I want to watch something, at least that movie feels, I don't know, it does feel unique. And also, I mean, the music, they had to make music to make that movie. So I'm going to do that one.
Tell.
So Jacob and I watched Popstar, Never Stop Stopping for the bracket specifically, and everyone was like, you gotta watch it. Like, it's so good, especially if you love Lonely Island, especially if you love music. It's so funny. And by the end, I was like, bro, maybe I'm just broken. Maybe my comedy is just like, maybe I just don't understand comedy or something. I think Lonely Island stuff is hilarious. Like, I think they're great. But this movie, I was just like, I love the story of it and what it's trying to say, but I felt like I was just like being beat over the head with like what they were trying to do comedically, and it just was not happening for me. I really wanted to think it was hilarious, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh no, oh no!" So I really enjoyed The Runaways, and for the Kristen Stewart, Dakota Fanning, Michael Shannon, Riley Keough of it all, I'm going with The Runaways.
Yeah, so when we did watch it, however, I thought it was genuinely hilarious. I was dying of laughter. Like, I was laughing a lot.
So you were cracking up while Taylor was staring at you, cracking up.
Like, Taylor was looking at me going, you never like comedy. Why do you like this?
And you specifically don't like a lot of the super Americanized comedies,
and
too.
That's what this is.
Like, he's very like not on board with like 40-Year-Old Virgin, like super bad kind of stuff. Yeah. Like,
there's a lot of comedies that I'm not a fan of, and especially like recent ones, but and the comedies generally don't work for me a lot. I really enjoyed Popstar. Popstar I thought was really clever, really funny. And I really got behind it and I really dug it and I really enjoyed it. And you're right, though. Runaways is a really good movie and I have a lot of fun with Runaways, but I loved Popstar. Like, I just was dying of laughter. And I agree with you. If I'm going to rewatch one, it would be Popstar. So I'm going with Popstar. Adam?
So, yeah, Runaways is one of my movies that I have to just yield the floor. Haven't seen it. That said, I remember when it came out and being really excited that it was a turning point for Kristen Stewart's career. And obviously,
it was her first big like post Twilight role.
It was in the middle of Twilight. Like, it was like, oh wait, she can act. She can.
No, exactly. Like, it was her first big project.
She's just become
such
a force of nature.
Yes.
In terms of like what she's done with a lot of her choices, and I respect that a lot. And I will catch up with the Runaways. My personal entry point to their music was Wayne's World 2. Obviously, everyone knows I love rock and roll, but for me, that song is synonymous with Wayne's World 2. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Great film. But Popstar. I do enjoy Lonely Island as much as the next guy, and I enjoy Hot Rod. Yes. And so much of their countless sketches on SNL. But Popstar, what I think is so cool about it is, it snuck out, was overlooked, and has garnered some attention over time, deservedly so, in my opinion. And Taylor, I respect where you're coming from. There's so much buildup going into that, and that's the problem with a film like Popstar. I think it's funny, but like, a lot of folks are so starved for something so funny that they'll see something like Popstar and it's so dynamic that they oversell it to the next guy. And that's not the movie's fault. I personally think it's quite hilarious, and I think it gets better with subsequent viewings. I've seen it twice, but I feel like everyone I've talked to who loves that movie has seen it 20 times, and I'm way behind. So I think it's really, really funny, and I definitely I would vote for it in this case because I haven't seen The Runaways, and I think Popstar is solidly hilarious.
I'll say one more quick thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Quick one thing. No, I'm not voting for The Runaways. I will say one more quick thing about it. I like the way it stands out in the uniqueness of the perspective, because we never see a movie about teenage girls like becoming famous. And Runaways was really special for that. That's why I remember being really excited to see it. And it's not like nobody dies. There's no nobody's like overdosing on like cocaine and like doing something like like anything really crazy that you see in typical musical biopics. It is about like the drama that's happening between teenage girls, like
shooting up their own vomit.
Well, but it's just like kind of the schisms and like breakups and relationships that you go through, and the breakaways and relationships that you go through as teenage girls. And we never see shit like that. And that's one of the reasons why I remember being really excited for this movie. And it's one of the strengths, I think, of the movie. I just want to highlight that that perspective of telling story and fame and all of this from a perspective we never see of really young girls. You never see it, and you never see it that's like sensitively directed and handled. That being said, I'm still gonna vote for Popstar. Never stopping. Yeah, Runaways.
Next up, we have John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum vs. Den of Thieves. Taylor, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, good. This will be easy. I've never seen Den of Thieves. Boom. There you go. John Wick.
I'll go. John Wick Chapter 3 is my favorite of the John Wick movies. I love this movie so much. I think it's the one that really grabs. We get John Wick at his absolute most vulnerable, I think, as well, where it's just like, oh, I really love the idea of literally everyone's trying to kill you. I just love that, he can turn a corner. I think the fight in the library is a great example of that. I think that's a
fight one, right?
Yeah, I think the
book.
Yeah,
it was a giant book.
Yeah,
a man. All right, he ain't no man. He's two men. All right,
I love that fight. And then I kind of wish they went the ending I'm not the biggest fan of, especially given what we got in 4. Like I kind of would have really loved the just kind of like just a tidier ending instead of the cliffhanger that we're going to go for, oh, we're all going again. But other than that, I think everything in this movie is just so awesome and epic. Den of Thieves is, I think, heat light. It does a lot cool, and there's a lot about it's one of those ones where it's like, man, this should have been a disaster. It was a January movie that they were clearly dumping, and there's a lot that it does right. I think the actual heist aspect of it is really cool. I think there are elements of it that are like, oh, this is fun, this is unique and a little bit different. But I also think the movie, I think especially with Jared Butler's character, where it mistakes being an asshole with being complex, and it's just like the whole movie's like, oh, he's this really deeply complex and dark characters. No, he's just an asshole. Like there's nothing really complex about him. He's just a prick, and that's kind of where I'm at with Den of Thieves. Like I think there's a lot about it that I really like, but it's not John Wick 3, and that's So I'm going with John Wick 3. Mara?
I unabashedly love Den of Thieves. I was one of those people that went in the theater and I was like, this is gonna suck. And I was so surprised by it. I think the action's great. I love I feel like it's been out for a while. It has a little bit of a reveal at the end where you're just like, oh shit, how about that? I do feel like they pull that off pretty successfully without having pulled the wool over our eyes the entire time, where a screenwriter said, I'm so smart, I just decided at the end I wanted to make myself look really smart and write something. Ha ha ha. I also really love Pablo Schreiber, so it's nice to see him, kind of co-headline a movie. I really wish he would put his fucking helmet on as the Master Chief, though. Just saying. So I'm going to be the only one that votes for it, but I don't mind. But I'm going to vote for Den of Thieves.
All right. Adam?
I admire that. And honestly, Den of Thieves has been on my catch-up list for a while. This is totally in my wheelhouse. I should have seen this movie already.
You saw Cop Shop before you saw Den of Thieves.
No, I watched The Living. Cop Shop is Assault on Precinct 13. It's just it is.
It is, yeah.
It's a great Assault on Precinct 13 remake. Great movie. But with Den of Thieves, I really do genuinely want to watch it. It was on Netflix for 5 years, and I missed my chance. And now it's on TNT streaming. Great. Cool. I'll just pay my $4 on Apple or Amazon and watch it. But I genuinely want to watch this movie. I also like Pablo Schreiber. In honor of St. Patty's Day, he plays a giant leprechaun in American Gods who beats the shit out of people. It's pretty great.
What?
Well, no. So not to get too sidetracked, but what I watched of American Gods season 1, I did enjoy. Crispin Glover, can't go wrong. But Pablo Schreiber plays a leprechaun who loves fighting, but he's a fully grown man. It's cool.
There's so many questions.
I know. So I will come up with this movie, but I mean, yes, John Wick 3. I will wax poetic, hopefully in future rounds. I have a lot to say about it. Partnering with horses in a fight. Just so many beautiful moments in this movie. The opening act is the strongest part of John Wick 3, and as much as I love John Wick 3, I think there are parts of it in terms of pacing that struggle a little bit, as does the 4th film. And I love this whole franchise, like completely. But I will say many more things. I vote for John Wick 3.
Before we get to you, Marisol, I just want to say Mara's reactions to, I think, looking up the American Gods leprechaun is the funniest thing I have ever seen.
Am I remembering it correctly, Mara? He is a leprechaun type person, right?
It sure kind of looks like it.
Yeah. Like they imply that he's a leprechaun type deity. I don't know.
The hair is something else.
Yeah, he's very coppery. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
That's
Now
one
there's
of
your
the
real
more
Cletus
normal
Cassidy,
photos.
people. There's your real Cletus Cassidy. Woody
Marisol,
Harrelson, get over it. Come on, man.
Marisol, where are
I
you?
kind of want to
heading?
go back and watch the tape because I have no idea what faces I was making.
I have nothing interesting to contribute. I'm in the same boat as Taylor. Never seen Den of Thieves, and by default, this is going to John Wick, chapter 3. But like, kind of like still favorably, not like, but like still favorably, just because like John Wick, like everything I've said, like those movies are gorgeous. And while I'm not the biggest fan of John Wick because they exhaust me after a while, and 3 exhausted me, like especially when they're in the desert and like he headshots like 400 guys.
I'm like, baby, he killed like 40 dudes.
I'm like, oh, I can't look at it anymore. Can you like?
They're dead though.
It's deafening.
Like
The amount of carnage in John Wick, chapter 3. Like Parabellum takes it to the next level. But default, like just because I haven't seen Den of Thieves, default because of the technical prowess, like the artistry and efficiency and elevation and top tier stunt work and action direction and everything that Chad Stahelski is doing with these John Wick movies is unmatched. So John Wick 3.
I will say I'm very excited to see him work on anything other than John Wick right now. Like
Highlander!
Hold on. Yeah, you better get ready for the Highlander reboot.
That's
There can be only one.
I will say that's like The Crow to me.
2,
I'll
apparently.
believe it when I'm in the theater watching it.
Dude,
It's been in that much turnaround that much. Yeah.
You got Henry Cavill and Chad Stahelski, and it's Highlander.
I'll believe
Do
it
you
when I
think
see
we
it.
get Lambert?
I hope not.
Sorry.
I'm
Come
sorry.
on. He
I
can play
hope not.
Connery's role. It's fine.
I just mean like as a cameo. Like it could just be like.
Oh yeah, I
you know,
think
something
there'd be a
small.
cameo. Yeah.
It's 20. It's going to be what 2025, whatever 24. I think it's contractually obligatory that he does show up as a cameo because you need to reference so people say, "Hey, I know that guy from that thing." So you need to do that.
What about the other
You need
one?
to do that anytime you have a movie. Just wait till the Ghostbusters movie comes out. Sorry.
Do you think is it Adrian Paul? Is that the other Highlander, Duncan?
Yeah.
I would like to see him from the TV show and like the 4th sequel. I like him. He's cool. Hey, Adrian, you watching?
All right, next up we have Burlesque vs. Neighbors, or if you're Australian, Bad Neighbors. Okay, so
Burlesque Neighbors?
I want to see that collab movie between the
yeah. I mean,
there we go.
Mara, I'm going to start with you on this one.
You look so excited.
I am not the target audience for Burlesque. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't. Female-driven stories about large groups of female persons don't really appeal to me generally. A story about a bunch of dudes doing stupid shit to people, it's definitely more appealing to me. Also, I do hate that there's a like. It hurts me sometimes now to think that like Zac Efron doesn't look like Zac Efron anymore. And I'm not saying like definitely wasn't crushing on young Zac Efron, but it does make me very sad. But yeah, I'm just going to go with Neighbors. I would way rather watch that. Like if I watched Burlesque, I would just be like, I don't understand you women. And I have no common ground with their experience whatsoever. So it's not like the movie's not doing anything wrong, but you know, movies, you try to find some common ground there. I've got nothing. I'm looking at a bunch of people doing stuff that I don't understand. So I'm like, I'd rather watch something that I understand. And in the Navy, we pranked each other all the time. We did a bunch of stupid shit. We were absolute idiots and assholes to each other. And I'm not saying it's right, but we did it.
Kayla.
I have a feeling I'm probably the only person on this stream that likes Burlesque, which is fine. I'll once again be that person. That's the only.
I'm not saying it's bad.
No,
I
no,
just don't. It just doesn't speak to me.
That's fine. I'm just saying I'm probably the only one here that's like, yeah, so I put Burlesque on and I'm like, yeah, sing it, girl. I feel you. Anyway. That being said, I haven't rewatched Neighbors in a long time. Like I watched it when it came out, but I haven't actually revisited it. I remember really liking it, but I'm scared that I'm gonna be like, yeah, I love it, and then I'm gonna rewatch it like next week and be like, what the fuck? Why? Like, why? What? I know I like Burlesque because I made Jacob watch it with me, and I don't think he's ever gonna. I don't think he's ever gonna forgive me for that.
It had been 13 years since I saw that movie.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this is a tough one for me, just because I remember liking Neighbors. I just haven't watched it in a long time. But Burlesque isn't necessarily a good movie. I just like watching it. Especially because, it's like absurd, but in a way that I'm like, you know what, this is fun. And it's fine that it's actually like really. There was one scene in particular we watched, and you were like, "This is the worst acting I've ever seen in my entire life." Do you remember that?
She's not good. Christina Aguilera cannot act. Like, she cannot act.
She was not there to act. She was there to do the singing. All right, that was the important part. Yeah, I don't know if starting with me was a great choice because I'm just like, I'll give Burlesque the pity vote because it's only gonna get one, and I like it. I think it's fun, so that's where we're gonna go.
Burlesque is not good. Like, it's not a good movie. I did rewatch Neighbors.
Oh no!
It has the Judd Apatow problem of it's just so fucking long. I hate these comedies that. And the stupid thing is, it's not even I think it's less than 100 minutes, but it feels long. Like, it's just, this just keeps going and going and going. There's a lot that is genuinely funny. I think there are, and I do kind of like the idea. I kind of like the approach that they make of, hey, growing up is okay. Like, you can't, growing up and not wanting to be the party people anymore is fine. Like, I kind of did like that approach to it. But yeah, there's just a lot about it that's just that has kind of gotten old and aged a lot. But I do think Zac Efron is very funny. Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen have really great chemistry. Like, I think they are like you're like, yep, these two are a really realistic couple, and I am going to go with Neighbors. I don't know how much more I'm going to go with Neighbors after this, but I do think it is a good enough movie to move on to the next round. Marisol?
Yeah, no, agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. I do like Neighbors. I like for all the reasons that you're saying. I think it's a fun kind of comparison. We're kind of like condemning, like, like that frat boy energy, and acknowledging that, like, it's okay, like you said, it's okay to be the rational people who are like, yeah, we had fun, but like, we're also trying to just raise a family now. I think this is even more of a coming out for Rose Byrne. I think she's even funnier. She's a comedic equal to Seth Rogen, I really think, in this movie, even more than like Get Into the Greek. I think she really is. I mean, this is post Bridesmaids, so she's really coming to her own comedically at this point. Burlesque. Burlesque. I love Christina. She's my favorite vocalist. She's my favorite living vocalist because Whitney Houston has passed. So she is my favorite living vocalist, and she's phenomenal, but she is not a good actress. And what's his name? Cam Gidget? What's the other dude's name? What's the dude's name? Yeah, what's that brother's name? Oh my God. He cannot act his way out of a cardboard box. I can't with this dude. I can't with this guy.
The dude who killed Marissa in OC. That's literally the only thing I know him from.
Yeah, his last name sounds like a Pokemon, honestly. But I can't with that guy. And even Cher showing up is like, Cher, it's not enough to elevate the movie. I'm sorry. Burlesque has too much like cringy stuff working against it, even though I really want to love it. But I can't. I'm gonna when
you have Cher, Alan Cumming, and Stanley Tucci in a movie, and it doesn't slay the way that it should. That's
yeah.
That's just,
I will admit, though, the scene when Cher does first turn up, and it's just like, oh, cool, the real adults here. Okay, the adults here. Like, okay, cool, we're getting some acting now. Cool, all right.
Yeah.
Like, her first scene is like, oh, okay, cool.
I actually love the dynamic that her and Stanley Tucci have in their scenes together. I think they're fun, but yeah.
Adam?
You know, Burlesque. You know, I appreciate. You know, when Burlesque was announced, I was like, sure, that sounds cool. Like, let's get these. You know, singer, songwriter, actors on screen to do something like this that's heightened, stylistic, interesting, maybe shines a light on the, you know, burlesque, you know, aspects of theater, dancing, art. Here's the thing. I'll admit this was a recent discovery, but prior to doing this show, I checked up on Burlesque because I've never seen it in its entirety. You know, I had, it's one of those things like I've seen snippets like flipping like through at the hotel. You know, we have a tradition, like we love, you guys might relate, when we stay at a hotel, the addiction we have is finding a movie that's randomly on cable and just getting sucked into it. We watched Wild Things like at 1 a.m. one night when we had a flight the next morning. It was stupid.
We couldn't turn it off.
Yeah. So with Burlesque, the guy who wrote and directed it is a guy named Steve Anton, which that might not be a household name, but he is known best for playing the bully Troy in the Goonies, who is on the toilet, who gets blasted into the ceiling when the pipes are getting messed with. And like he's the one who runs Josh Brolin off the road on his little bike. That's the guy who wrote and directed Burlesque. And apparently it was a passion project of his.
Passion project?
It's like his big directorial thing. Like he's done like other stuff, but that was his big theatrical thing. And it's fascinating, honestly. Like that it all ties back to Troy from the Goonies. So I just, you know, that's one bit of trivia I discovered looking into Burlesque. That's about as interesting as it gets for me, though, with that movie. I don't want to oversell Neighbors. It is too long. I agree. But it also was like such a good like demonstration of like Zac Efron's ability as a comedic actor. And Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne are great in it, but I really like Zac Efron in that movie, so I'll vote for Neighbors for sure. I just wanted to bring up the bit about the bully from the Goonies. Just people need to know. They need to know.
They need to know.
Yeah.
All right. Next up.
Oh God.
This is a tough one. We have The Grey versus Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
What?
Okay, it's a tough one. Look, I really like The Grey. Like, I think that's actually okay. I think I have for The Grey what Mara you had for Den of Thieves, where it's like I walked in January thinking this thing's going to be a piece of trash. This thing's going to be awful, and it's Liam Neeson takes on wolves, and I kind of like that. Like I kind of liked that it wasn't. Sorry, I liked that it wasn't Liam Neeson takes on wolves. It was kind of just like a survivor movie that then ends with I'm going to take on wolves, and I kind of liked that about it.
Oh, I really love The Grey. I just mean, to me, this is an easy choice.
That's fair. I think,
yeah. No, I think The Grey is awesome. And I agree. I kind of like that they subverted my expectation. I think it was a terrible marketing strategy for it like a commodity that they needed to sell. But no, I love the movie. I think it's awesome.
I'm going to go with, but yeah. So for all that praise for The Grey, I'm still going with Ghost Protocol because it's a freaking Mission Impossible movie that's awesome. And it is like, it's genuinely so much fun. And it, you know, as someone who thinks it is one of the like outside of 2 and 3, which I think are the two weakest, I think this is the weakest one out of them, but I still have so much fun with it. I think it's still just really good. And it was, Brad Bird really reinvigorated this franchise. So I'm going with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Adam.
Oh man, like why couldn't you put The Grey up against one of these other duds that you have in here? You have some real stinkers, Jacob. And I'm gonna put that squarely on your shoulders.
That's fair.
And you put it up against Ghost Protocol. And yeah, I want to give The Grey some attention for a second because I had no expectations for The Grey. You know, and like you think I love the movie The Edge. And they're very different movies, to be clear. But like when I heard about the Gray, I was like, oh, we're gonna get the edge with wolves, and it's more than that. It's an ensemble piece, and and like Liam Neeson isn't just like karate kicking wolves out of the way in this movie. He's dealing with a group of people who are scared and incensed, and he has to like give them something to live for. And I love the moment in that movie where, you know, like, sorry, this isn't a major spoiler, but where they're like, you know what, we're gonna eat this wolf. And you know, it's like it's this whole weird, like grizzled, like middle-aged Lord of the Flies moment, but I dig it. You know, I like the Gray. It's a lot of fun to watch. But Ghost Protocol, like you've all been saying, it was Mission Impossible 3 was really special because it was way better than we all expected. But after that, if you're going to do a fourth Mission Impossible, you got to do something really cool. And for Brad Bird to come out of nowhere and do a live action film like this, that was just so strong. And, you know, I rewatched it last year ahead of the new movie, and it holds up great. It's so much fun. You know, the skyscraper scene, everything. I have a lot more to say about it later, but I will definitely vote for it in this round. But I just, all due respect to the Gray, it's a really cool movie. And of that whole Liam Neeson boom, I think it's one of the top 5 of the 2010 Liam Neeson movies, easily.
Yeah. I won't go too long-winded on this just because I do think we will get to talk about it more later. But Ghost Protocol, I love. I have so much fun with it. I think it's just such a cool installation into the franchise and really kicks off like where it's going to go after. That scene with the stunt work on the Burj Khalifa, as someone who can't do heights, I have like a panic attack in the best way every single time. It's just so cool the way that they filmed it. Like, I think we've kind of gotten to a point where we take for granted the stunt work that Tom Cruise is willing to do just because it's kind of the normal at this point. But the stunt work that's done on that building and the shots that they end up getting for the final product of the film, it like terrifies me to this day. And I think it's just such a cool sequence as well. The part where he has to like leap because his rope isn't far enough after he like launches himself out a window, and then he has to like swing his way over and trust that he's not going to fall, and then basically bangs into the top of the window and almost falls. Cinema. Absolute cinema, that whole sequence. I love it. So much fun. Awesome. Gonna leave it there for now because I do think we'll talk about it more later.
Mara?
We'll talk about it more. Mission Impossible.
Marisol?
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I've been listening to everybody. Hot take? I don't know. This is my favorite Mission Impossible movie.
Oh, wow.
I'm very, very proud to say this one just destroys. I think this is the funnest. I think it is the funnest one of them all. I love the team in this movie, and this is no disrespect for the Gray, but it's just not. This Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is just such a terrific movie. It's just the Gray can't compete, even though it's one of the more contemplative and more thoughtful and philosophical survival tinged Liam Neeson movies by far of any of the action Liam Neeson movies that we've gotten in the 21st century. It is doing 10 times more interesting things than any of his commuter taken shaken bacon movies have been doing. But yeah, Ghost Protocol.
I mean, I am going to jump on that train. Like when people talk about the best Mission Impossible movies and don't bring this one up, I'm kind of like, excuse me, I have something to say. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, it just hits me when I watch
This
this one.
is why this one is why we got
Paula Patton.
Oh, yes, Paula Patton. Paula Patton, like, I can't remember the actor's name, the Indian actor, but Paula Patton completely destroying him in that
awesome.
scene. Yeah. But this is why we got Rogue Nation. This is why we got all the new Mission Impossibles to do. You can argue J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible 3 is also why we got Ghost Protocol, but I think that's a tougher argument to make. I think Ghost Protocol is really, it's really cooking. in this one. The formula is really cooking in this, and this is why we got all the next great spread of Mission Impossible movies.
Look,
we got.
like Rogue Nation could run. Rogue Nation was only able to do what it did because Ghost Protocol walked. Like that's like Ghost Protocol walked, so Rogue Nation could run. Like that was All right.
What do we got?
This is an interesting one.
Oh no.
Halloween, the 2018 version versus Cosmopolis. So we already talked about the movie that showed that Kristen Stewart could act and like introduced everyone to, oh wow, she's a really talented actress. Well, now it's the movie that showed that Robert Pattinson's a very talented actor versus the 2018 Halloween reboot. Mara, I'm going to start with you. Oh, you're on mute.
Well, it helps because I haven't seen Cosmopolis, so I probably should abstain. I'm assuming that everyone else will be able to sort this. So,
all right. Well,
handle it, everyone.
Okay. Marisol. Oh, you're muted too.
Holy deja vu. Just wait. Yeah, even more deja vu. I'm in the same boat as Mara. I still haven't seen Cosmopolis. This is Cronenberg, right? Yeah, I haven't seen Cosmopolis. I haven't seen a lot of Cronenberg movies that haven't starred Michael Fassbender from the 2010s. So like that's pretty much it. Like I only saw the ones that had Michael Fassbender in them. But I also haven't seen Cosmopolis. But it was always the year that it came out. It was on my list of movies I wanted to watch, and then I never did. I really don't agree, and I'm turned off by what David Gordon Green has done with these new Halloween movies. So by default, without having seen it, and by the fact that I really have wanted to see this movie, I'm going to go with Cosmopolis. Boom.
I'm going to just jump in on this and make this real easy. Because the new Halloween movies, trash, garbage. Makes me not want to check out the originals that I haven't seen just because of how bad they are.
No, you need to because you'll be amazed how amazing they are compared to the new ones.
I'm just saying it's setting a real bad impression for me. And I'm not gonna not vote for Robert Pattinson, Paul Giamatti. So that's we're going with Cosmopolis.
Adam.
Oh man, the thing is, I too am part of the Cosmopolis non-watch party, which is
sorry, David Cronenberg. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
We're all like, we respect you, but we will not watch you.
Yeah. Fuck you, David Cronenberg. You're awesome.
You're so awesome. We will not watch your film.
No. To be fair, long been on my watch list. I'm gonna have to vote for Halloween out of default, but I get where you're all coming from. I do. But I will say that that first Halloween film from David Gordon Green is easily, for my money, the best of his movies. And I know that's a low bar for some, but the thing is, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends are such random, bizarre swings at Halloween sequels, and they have their fans. And there's things I like about both of those movies, but I have so many problems. But the first 20 out, the first of this iteration, 2018's Halloween, the reason I like it is because when I saw it in the theater, I remember being excited and being thrilled by the tension throughout the movie. The only thing that falls completely flat is the stupid doctor. And, that whole bit is really bad. But I also appreciate that, like Michael dispatches that whole plot line really quickly himself, and we just move on. But that first David Gordon Green Halloween, there's some really great scenes in it.
It is the best one. It is the best one out of the fate. That long take where like he goes into the woman's house.
Take, and they advertised with that.
That really, because that's one of the best moments in the movie.
Yeah. So I like that movie. I don't expect it to go that far, and I'm not trying to, say too much about it, but I have to vote for it because I genuinely enjoy that movie. I own it. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. The jury's out.
So as the one person who not only has seen Cosmopolis, but actually saw it in theaters when it came out, which I find hilarious because it actually came out in an Australian.
We're all a bunch of Philistines, Jacob.
I like I said, like I really like Cosmopolis. Like it's not perfect, but it really shows. Like I think it really shows that especially in 2012 when we had just had Robert Pattinson for 4 Twilight movies, and with a 5th one coming out a month later. Oh wow, no, this guy can act. This guy's really good. Like he can act, and I think it's not only that, it is hard to act to. He's literally in a limo for the entire movie. Like that's the whole premise of the movie. Like he's doesn't leave it. So I'm going with Cosmopolis. And I think that I agree with you, Adam, that out of the 3, it's the best one, but that is a very, very, very low bar. Like I don't really like David Gordon Green as a director. I've yet to really see many of his movies that I've enjoyed.
Have you watched his early movies yet?
His early movies are the ones like George Washington.
I've seen one of them, and that was Your Highness, and I hated that.
Well,
no, earlier, like
2002,
2001.
Right, I haven't seen any of those, so yeah. But so I'm going to go with Cosmopolis, and I think based on just the way I think that leans to Cosmopolis. That goes through because Marisol and Taylor voted Cosmopolis. So
even if it doesn't, I'll vote for it because I'd rather watch it than Halloween.
Right. Then rewatch Halloween.
Guys.
I'd rather watch Cosmopolis for the first time than rewatch Halloween. Amen.
All right. This is an interesting matchup. Next up, we have The Conjuring 2 versus Trance.
Sorry.
Sorry,
ignore my gut reactions to all of these. My vocal, my mouth farts every time something happens.
No. Say what you were gonna say.
No, I was just going to ask: has anyone here actually seen Trance?
Yes, I have.
Yes,
I have a story about it. Actually,
yeah, that's right.
I was like, I really want to watch Trance because like James McAvoy. I was on a James McAvoy kick at the time, and I was like, I'm just gonna go through and watch some of his movies. It's like I'll put this on, and I put it on, and then my parents were like, "Hey, we'll come sit down and watch this with you." And if you know anything about Trance, you understand that I had to spend 100 minutes sitting there going, why does the universe and God want me to suffer by having my parents walk into the room and watch this movie with me? So that was an experience that I'd like to never live over again, ever, and hope I would not wish on to anybody else.
That's fair. I can appreciate that.
That being said, this movie is a trip. Trance. Full disclosure, I will never watch a Conjuring movie ever. Like it just will not happen. Will not happen. Like, don't care what anyone says or how anyone advocates for it. It's not happening. So by default, even though I don't know if I remember Trance being a good movie, it was an impressionable movie, and I'll give it that. We're gonna vote for that because not touching anything Conjuring with a 3,000-foot pole.
Mara.
I would like to hear more about Taylor's desire not to watch a Conjuring movie.
Yeah, I want to unpack that a little bit.
It's the spiritual horrorness of it all. She just like
I get very triggered personally by that for very personal reasons. I just can't put myself through it because that'll be like not fun scary. That'll be like it'll trigger my personal trauma. Like kind of scary, and then I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to deal with it either because then I'm staying awake all night too. So yeah,
that's fair. I will watch all of them for Taylor, so she never has to.
Perfect. Love that.
I enjoy Conjuring 2. I think it's actually a good rewatch as well. I think I actually maybe prefer it to the first one. I'm not necessarily saying it's better, but I think I prefer it. Yes, there's a cat, by the way.
I was trying to listen to you, but I was distracted by I guess it's Jayla. Is that Jayla? I was distracted by her swishing tail. Like she was she was just calling me.
She's pure mischief.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I just kind of like the family better in the second one, and I kind of like the spirit that is the antagonist better in the sequel. I don't know. I have a lot of fun with it. I don't think that the entire Conjuring verse is super strong. I actually think that you kind of get diminishing returns after this for every movie that they've pretty much added thereafter. But I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to throw it at Conjuring 2.
Marisol?
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a tight one for me. Conjuring, I'm not really big on the Conjuring movies because I find them so utterly predictable. Like horror is a fine tune for me, and roller coaster horror is a genre that I'm into, but I can telegraph the scares are so telegraphed in these Conjuring movies, they take me out of it. I'm like, and camera cut away, cut back, cut away, something's in the distance, suddenly it's going to come to the forefront. Like I can, like, there's, the scares are so telegraphed in these Conjuring movies, I don't find them very scary, but I find them entertaining, and which is why I guess a lot of people like them. Conjuring 2 is one of the strongest ones I think out of the whole series for me, because I like the single mom in London aspect. I'm getting this right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm
yeah
I'm remembering this right. That the human interest aspect of that made me more like, go mom, you're just trying to raise your kids and not have ghosts fuck with you, and like, you know, like she's really trying. I like that. I was a little more attached to the human element in the Conjuring 2 because of that. Even though all the scares are so telegraphed, I'm a scaredy cat, but I'm not scared when I watch these Conjuring movies. I'm not scared when I watch them.
You were when you watched them with me.
Why you got blow up my spot like
you
that?
screamed a few times. I'm just saying. You wouldn't have bad dreams.
Look,
you didn't
on the scale of other horror movies we watch. No,
suddenly we've had Adam and Marisol's feed cut out, and they're just gone.
No, but on the scale of scary movies I watch, the Conjuring they do not scare me the way the other ones do. This, I will say this. I will then quite a try to talk about Trance real quick. I love all the psychosexual like messery in Trance. Love is a strong word. I like it, and I think it's doing a lot more things interesting than any of the Conjuring movies ever do. And I think the Conjuring movies are inherently false in kind of where they're coming from, and I don't need to get into that, but I find Trance really interesting. If you love Rosario Dawson, really, really hot in this movie. Hello. But,
that's for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. But I also love James McAvoy, and yeah, Trance is still a really fun, interesting indie, funkily filmed, because it's Danny Boyle film.
Yeah.
That dives into more thematically interesting places than I ever think any of the Conjuring movies ever would. So I'm going to edge it out with Trance here.
Okay, Adam.
That's all fair. It's all fair. It's a sound argument. And you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about Danny Boyle or his filmography right now, but I will. I just have to. I have to. You know, go with my heart here. And the thing I like about the Conjuring movies is I'm a secular fellow. You know, not that we're laying all that out, but the reason I bring it up is because I have no personal investment in the Warrens or their, their theatricalities or anything like that. But when it comes to the way these movies are made, I find the Conjurings, in a way, to be like the blood sport of horror, because you look back at Bloodsport and it's this completely heightened, ridiculous version of what happened or didn't happen, honestly. And honestly, sometimes that's okay. Like I like when movies fictionalize things that happen in real life, heighten them. I just got through all the Eat Man movies, and they were a blast. And I know so much of that shit was made up, but it was awesome. and it was also the emotion felt honest in those movies, and that's what I liked. And that's what I like about the Conjuring movies. They get at this emotional truth, at least in the first two, that I think is genuine and it's pretty earned. And that second movie, because it's the Enfield Poltergeist, it's just such a cool, notorious case that even if you don't know everything about the Enfield Poltergeist in England, you're going to watch it. It's going to feel familiar. Sorry to plug this, Mara, but like I force fed you and Dan the movie Ghost Watch a couple years ago, which is directly inspired by the Enfield Poltergeist situation. And I think Ghost Watch and Conjuring 2 make a great double feature. So go watch Ghost Watch if you haven't. It's one of the great found footage horror movies of the early 90s. Didn't know it was a found footage horror movie at the time. But Conjuring 2 has my vote. I think after this, it is diminishing returns, like everyone said. But I love the old man ghost. I like what they do with the nun imagery in this because they don't go too far with it. So yeah, Conjuring 2.
I have the deciding vote, and this is like really weird. Because so I agree with what you guys have said about Conjuring 1 and 2, whereas in the whole franchise has been diminishing returns after Conjuring 2, just out of and you know, watching Conjuring 3, what the thing that was missing was James Wan. It is missing James Wan's directing in these movies because I think what Conjuring 2 does so well is gives you the heart of these franchise. Like you actually spend time with this family. You really do start to love this family, and you want to spend time with them and see them survive. Essentially, it's one of those like, oh, I know, I want them to get through this well, and that. And so yeah, like I really enjoy Conjuring 2. It's probably one of the best theater experiences I've had last decade because of just like it's one of those ones where, you know, we tricked one of our friends into seeing it who was not prepared to see it, and within 5 minutes was running out of the theater. So that was, you know, that was fun. That was funny. We're cruel and awful people.
It was Taylor.
Oh,
It wasn't Taylor.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah. But then with Trance, like I went in not knowing anything about Trance. Like I saw this in a theater and having absolutely no idea on what it was about. And it's so trippy and different and weird, and it wasn't at all what I was expecting. And I just have so much fun with that movie, and I really enjoy it. I guess just for no apparent look, Conjuring turns up later, and I think it's the better. I like Conjuring 1. I loved Conjuring 1. So I'm gonna go Trance for this one, and when we get to Conjuring 1, hopefully I'll be able to vote for that one instead. But that's literally the only reason, because they're both. I looked it up. I've given both of them 3.5 stars. Like they're both like very. Oh god, I don't know which one I would pick movies. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Trance.
Unexpected, but all right.
All right. Next up, A Million Ways to Die in the West versus Horrible Bosses. All right, I'll start this one. So because I love A Million Ways to Die in the West. I think it is hilarious. I laugh so hard at this stupid, dumb movie that I'm and Horrible Bosses I think's okay. I think it overstays its welcome by a bit. Whereas I'm going with A Million Ways to Die in the West. I don't know why. I just have so much fun with how stupid.
Comment section.
Oh no.
Oh God.
What?
Jacob, I question your taste in comedy now. I mean, that's fair. That is fair. Completely.
Yeah, it's all subjective, people, but also.
I really find this movie stupidly dumb, and I just have fun with it. So, yeah, I've gone with A Million Ways to Die in the West. Marisol.
Oh, thank you, Jacob. I am ready to talk about this. So like, I don't think Horrible Bosses is a comedic masterpiece by any stretch, but it does utilize its ensemble pretty damn well. And the centerpiece selling point of it was, look at how terrible Kevin Spacey is, look at how terrible Jennifer Aniston is, and look at how terrible Colin Farrell is. And I love highlighting this battle of personalities between them and their employees. And both the Jasons and Charlie Day are fantastic foil to it. And Jamie Foxx, let's not talk about motherfucking Jones here. Okay, Jamie Foxx is hilarious. And the scene stealing in these points in this movie. I don't think Horrible Bosses is, again, like I said, a generational masterpiece. But it has some killer laugh out loud moments in it. Really killer. I don't think it sustains it throughout the entire film. But I do think that I do think it's a lot funnier than A Million Ways to Die in the West, which is essential. It's indicative. It's quintessential Seth MacFarlane, which is, the movie is about 25% funny and 75% not, which is it's hit or miss. It's quintessential Seth MacFarlane. That's all he is on Family Guy, which is just like hitting for like some of the time, missing for most of the time. And there are some really, really funny jokes in A Million Ways to Die in the West, and so much more of it is just like it just like Blazing Saddles. This is not, and that's really all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go on that deeply about these movies, but I don't know how he got Liam Neeson and Charlize Theron to be in this movie. Holy shit. I don't know how he bribed them or what sexual favors he did to get them in this movie, but
probably a daisy in the butthole.
That's fair. But yeah, this is definitely Horrible Bosses for me, but not like Horrible Bosses is amazing, but it's definitely funnier than A Million Ways to Die in the West for me. Continue. Somebody else go.
I haven't seen A Million Ways to Die in the West, so I can't really comment on that. I generally find Seth MacFarlane pretty funny. So, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't really like judge it when I haven't seen it. Horrible Bosses I haven't seen probably since it came out, but I loved it when it came out. Like, I really, like Marisol was talking about, I really enjoyed the dynamic of just the worst people possible being their bosses. And it's just really, they're just so horrific, and having to figure out what the dynamic there is going to be and how they're going to deal with it, and having it be a comedy that really just goes for that angle, which I don't think we see a lot of. I haven't rewatched it, so it could be one of those things where I like rewatch it at some point and I'm like, wow, no, this is why there are very few like classic comedies out there, because a lot of them just do not age, especially the more recent ones. But just by default, I'm going to have to go with Horrible Bosses.
Ara?
I think that there's fun stuff in both of these. There's also some stuff that, I don't know, doesn't quite hold up in both of them. But I just have so much fun with Jason Sudeikis in Horrible Bosses. And I do love Jennifer Aniston playing against type in it a lot. I think it's fun to watch her not be a good girl. So I'm going to go with Horrible Bosses because that's the one I'd rather put on and watch right now.
I will admit, I will give the Horrible Bosses a lot of credit for and Horrible Bosses and Where the Millers for going, yeah, Jennifer Aniston's still hot at 40. Like, for them just fully leaning into, yeah, she's still hot at 40. Like,
very un-Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Adam,
yes, Hollywood always trying to prove that women are still hot.
Yeah.
At 40. The battle that always, the thesis that always needs to be reproven. But yes. But yes, continue.
She should be playing grandma roles by Hollywood standards by now.
Adam?
So, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm voting for Horrible Bosses, and not just because I missed a Schmodown question about A Million Ways to Die in the West. But it's definitely the reason. To be fair, I guess Giovanni Ribisi when the answer was Liam Neeson, and at least he's in the movie, at least from what I understand.
Yes,
So he's there. He's around. No, I wish I could give a full-throated comparison between both. But the thing about Horrible Bosses is low expectations at the time, and I was amused. And the thing that I think we all take for granted sometimes is the power of a great ensemble in any genre. And sometimes it can completely fall flat. You and I talk a lot about how there's like this whole, like, you look back on any actor's filmography, and there are countless examples of these ensembles of amazing actors in movies you've never heard of. You like dig into them from the 2000s and 2010s, especially. Like they get these great actors together, and it's for this like movie that's completely forgettable. And that's why I think Horrible Bosses is kind of special, because the title is incredibly literal. And on the surface, they just literally take popular actors, comedic actors from the time, and just put them in squares on the poster. And that's fine. But then I watched the movie and I laughed. I laughed a lot. And I laughed at all, like just the way these people collided. And if this were a question about Horrible Bosses 2, that'd be a separate conversation. But I like the first movie quite a bit for what it is. And I just love seeing all these actors play around together. So that's why I vote for it.
All right. Horrible Bosses makes it through. All right. We got two left. Two of these left. All right. Next up, The Wolfman versus Magic Mike XXL.
What is happening?
What a double feature for the ages.
Adam, with that reaction, I'll let you start.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to go down swinging. I'm voting for the Wolfman.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Me too.
You know what?
By the way,
like, okay, look, the Wolfman remake.
Fighting words. Okay,
the Wolfman, when it came out, this was a remake that was in development for a long time, and I'm a little biased because in my little 6-month stint in LA for college, I did an internship at Universal. Split up some of my time at Universal and Focus Features, but I read the script for Wolfman at the time. And Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and that's a separate conversation. But the Wolfman script, I was like, you know what? I would love to see this made. And at the time, Anthony Hopkins and Benicio weren't even anywhere close to it. I don't think they even had any actors in mind. But when it was cast, I was like, oh, okay. Like Anthony Hopkins is Benicio's dad. Okay. Like that's what it was, right? In the plot that they are father and son. But the thing I really like about the Wolfman is the production value of this movie. The script is very, very straightforward. It's not the most imaginative remake, but I love all the practical effects in this movie. I love the use of fog. I'm a big fan of the movie Wolf from the 90s. Even though it's kind of dumb, the Wolfman reminded me of Wolf. Just the way like they like wolf out in the third act and everything.
Wolf out?
Yes, and they have the big yes. Have you seen Mike Nichols' Wolf?
Clearly,
I know we're not doing the 90s bracket.
Clearly
That better
not.
be in the 90s bracket. Because I love that movie. It's so stupid, but it's great. Jack Nicholson sleeps for 24 hours in that movie, and it's really interesting. Anyway, I vote for Joe Johnston's The Wolfman because it's kind of awesome. And Magic Mike XXL, that first movie is really good. And honestly, XXL is a solid movie. I understand if it beats The Wolfman here, but I just wanted to vote for The Wolfman because I might be the only one.
Mara?
There we go.
I have not seen a Magic Mike movie. I have no desire to see a Magic Mike movie. I am not the target audience for a Magic Mike movie. I actually agree with everything that Adam said about the Wolfman, and that is what I will be selecting for my vote.
So I forced myself to watch the Magic Mike movies when the newest one came out. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just sit through all of them, which I did. And then our screening had like actual like dancers. It was a whole production. Do you remember that?
Yep.
There was a whole production. There was a whole thing. And even that cannot sway me to enjoy the Magic Mike movies. I feel like a failure to modern feminism because I watch these movies and go, no, I just can't do it.
Not even when you see Kevin Nash.
Not even then. Not even then. Not even when, you know, they're doing their patriotic
1982.
whatever. I don't know. I really am not a fan of the first movie. The second movie, I don't even remember what happens. I don't know. There's people.
It's the road trip.
Yeah,
one.
I know. I don't fucking know, man. No, those movies are miserable watches for me. And I actually have a lot of fun with The Wolfman. I actually like that movie more than most people. It slaps, so we're going with The Wolfman.
Oh my God.
No way. I was not expecting any of this shit. Have y'all ever seen a Magic Mike movie? Okay, all right. Can we talk? Can we talk though?
All right.
Can we talk? Because Magic Mike XXL is the Empire Strikes Back of Magic Mike movies. Can we talk for a second? Like, I was not expecting all of this. This is kind of wild. This is wild. This is wild. Hey, speaking of which, speaking of Star Wars, yes. Like, so yeah, this is wild. So the first Magic Mike, I think, is weird and a little odd and muted. And I get that Soderbergh being like, they're not sexy, even though they're strippers. Like, you know, like that's a whole like kind of premise of the movie is that they're going through the set, but I think it's a little ham-fisted. And the female lead, the romantic lead opposite Channing Tatum in the movie,
You love her.
God awful. She's the worst. That is literally.
I literally
don't-
watched Marisol
I can't
scream at
exaggerate.
this-
I can't exaggerate. That is literally the worst acting performance I've ever seen.
She was so
in a
pissed,
movie.
actively pissed
The
at this
lead,
actress.
the female lead in the original Magic Mike. But then when I saw the second one, so I like Taylor, like kind of what you're saying. I like kind of watched all these three in a stretch last year when the last one came out, and the second one I was like, what? Like the second one, I was like, what? What is this? Like, where was this? Like the second one is this road movie. All the boys are like, fuck it. Like, let's do one last ride. We're strippers. We don't care. It's so fun. It's so fun compared to the first and the third. It's this peak, this unexpected peak in the middle of this trilogy. And it is so, and there's this detour where they go. Jada Pinkett Smith is running this all black strip club, and the sexual chocolate in the middle of this movie is just such an unexpected delight. Like
My
I
Uber's
love
here. I gotta go.
Look, Mara, you and I have a lot in common where we stand on and where he approaches these things that should be typically tailored to women. And I will be the first to admit that Magic Mike, while I don't think is XXL is not a phenomenal movie, it is a breezy and super fun and super sexy, just completely like not taking itself seriously, just high point in between the first two who are just down points. And the second one is just so much better than the first and the third. But sorry, Wolfman, but Wolfman is Joe Johnston is usually the director of such terrific fun.
Sorry, Wolfman.
Sorry, Wolfman. But with First Avenger, Captain America, and the Rocketeer, and Jumanji, like Joe Johnston knows how to just elevate these action movies, and the Wolfman is so dour, like in terms of this man's filmography.
His life sucks.
So, I mean, look, well, so does Robin Williams in Jumanji, but like, you know, he gotta,
chewing gum is not going to fix this problem.
But they still turn into a fun adventure. Wolfman really doesn't hit for me. But it really doesn't. It doesn't hit like Magic Mike XXL hits. Yeah, like I'm just saying, like I like it's not even a comparison with these two. Magic Mike XXL is a much better movie. I guess I'm like one of the only people who's gonna vote for this. This is wild.
What about Wolfman XXL?
Wolfman, one can only hope. That would be a furry extravaganza.
I hear Ryan Gosling's attached to the new Wolfman. That should be
Not
called-
anymore. No, it's dude from Poor Things.
Yeah, he's not attached to it anymore.
Oh, well, yeah. He's got better things to do.
He
Damn it.
started filming it today, actually. Yeah.
I just want to say, I feel like I'm also like kind of telling on myself by not liking the Magic Mike movies because everyone's like, they're so sexy. And I'm like, none of these men appeal to me. Maybe I'm just telling on
Thank
myself of my
you.
type of men that I
Not
like.
because the men appeal,
Thank you,
but
Taylor.
because Soderbergh is just like, this is so silly. The Soderberghness of this all helps really keep it in perspective. These Magic Mike movies for me, he's not sensationalizing them or believing in anything they're doing. The second one, he's just like, look at these fools. And look at them just like having like their last swan song and just enjoying themselves. But they're also the most like vapid and shallow people imaginable. And this is silly what they're doing, but they're sinking themselves into it wholeheartedly. There is a third party like perspective with Magic Mike XL that I find that really helps you enjoy it without trying to convince you of these characters like superiority or make you truly believe in their own self-importance. But that's just me.
Honestly, I want to say this one thing about the Magic Mike movies, just to agree with you. Like, I still vote for the Wolfman.
Not all of them. I'm just saying that second one.
No, but the first two. I haven't seen the third one. But I like Wolfman better than Magic Mike XXL. I do. It's just, I'm going on record. Let's deal with it. But like, the thing I like about the first two Magic Mike movies is the workplace relatability. Like I remember being at an age, like I remember especially in my early 20s and like having summer jobs. And this is why I love the movie Adventureland, you know, like just that feeling of being caught up socially in what you're doing to make a living and you're all relating to, like, I like that about the Magic Mike movies. And I think it captures that energy really, really well.
All right.
Are you gonna vote?
Well, I mean, I was gonna vote Wolfman because I do really like the Wolfman because I'm not a
the
Did
Wolfman.
not see this coming.
I did not see any of this coming. I was like, all right, I got two other ladies in here. Like, this is gonna be cool. Magic Mike gonna roll through this.
But I don't want to. I
don't
don't
like
want to
neighbors.
take away from what Marisol just said. So yeah, Wolfman makes it through.
Damn,
right.
I'm the only one out here voting for Magic Mike.
Yeah,
Like,
last
whoa, this is
one
wild.
of the night.
This is
Wild.
this
I
is-
love what you love, Marisol. Love what you love.
this last one of the night is
Live your truth.
is something.
Yep.
This is the one to end on.
World War Z
What the
versus
hell?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
So,
Oh my God, yes.
I'm going to start. I have never in my entire, I don't think there is a film since I first saw it in theaters that has decreased as much for me as Bohemian Rhapsody. Because when we saw it in theaters, it was in IMAX. It was the closest I've ever sat in an IMAX theater, and I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. Rami Malek deserves Best Actor. This is an incredible movie. Then I saw it again with my parents about a month later, and I went, this is an okay movie. Rami Malek's okay. I can see a lot of the flaws. Then we watched it at home when we did when we did our Best Picture. Like we did all 10 movies in a weekend, and we did the Best Picture rewatch. And I went, yeah, that's lost something because it's not in a theater. Like it needs to be in a theater to like really get for you to like be completely captured by it. Then I watched it a month ago at home. And I went, I'm so fucking bored. I'm so like, I do not like Bohemian Rhapsody, from a movie that I was in love with and was in my top 10 the year I saw it, to now where I gave it a negative review. It's not aged well. And what everyone says about it's just the typical biopic, it 100% is. I am not going to take that away. I'm not going to try and defend that anymore. This movie's not good, like, at all. It's really not. Some of the scenes are really great. I think Rami Malek gives a good performance, but I don't think he's as electric and incredible as I thought he was 6 years ago. Like, this movie has just aged really poorly for me. Whereas in World War Z, it's just fun. It's gory, it's violent. I like it. Like, it's not actually gory and violent. Sorry, it's PG-13. But like, I had fun with it. Like, for what was meant to have been a complete and utter disaster, given the production problems of that movie, the fact that it came out at least somewhat tolerable, and not only that, to actually being fun and good, I think is a minor miracle. So I'm going to go with World War Z because I really enjoy it. Mara?
I have thoughts. Okay. Bohemian Rhapsody is a wig and teeth movie, and that makes me sad because I feel like I love the fact that a person of Mina ancestry got to go grab a big ass statue, because that's super meaningful for me. And like, there's not a lot of big names that come out of the region. Like, you've basically got like him and Omar Sharif. So I love that. I really, really do. But unfortunately, I feel like if we're going to talk about like recent musical biopics, Taron Egerton did a better job. Like, and he didn't get a single ounce of recognition for it, and that's kind of sucks. But that's neither here nor there. When talking about these two movies, though, unfortunately, World War Z, I just have to say it as a book person, it is a shitty adaptation. It is a super shitty adaptation. Like, the book is legit so much better than the movie. However, as just a isolated like movie on its own, that movie is fucking awesome, and I love rewatching it. The extended version, so good. Highly recommend. The music slaps. Like, the score in that movie, so cool, so atmospheric. I thoroughly enjoy watching it. I put it on sometimes just to like, oh, you know what? I just want like zombies to fall asleep. Like, Bohemian Rhapsody is a bad wig and teeth movie. World War Z is like a great physical prosthetics movie. Like, you can look at what I've got to choose from here. I could keep going on and on, but I don't want to right now because I'm getting tired. And I still have so much work to do tonight. But no, I would throw in World War Z right now. I'm a zombie fanatic. And again, shitty book adaptation, really fucking good zombie movie.
Tell.
Come to me if you have to.
Okay. That's right. Yeah, fair enough. All right, Marisol, you look like you. Yeah, Marisol?
I have a lot of conflicted movies. A lot of conflicted movies. I have a lot of conflicted feelings about these conflicting movies. But I'm not really crazy about either of these. I'm going to be really honest. 100% agree with you, Jacob, that the glow fades every time you rewatch Bohemian Rhapsody. Queen is a band very close to my heart, so I was excited so much for this movie, bought into the hype when it came out, and then when I saw it, I was like, but it's like amazing, but is it like? And then it just kept like fading a little bit each time I ever watched it. I've only seen this movie 3 times, but can't deny Rami Malek. Yeah.
I was gonna say it, but I didn't.
Can't deny Rami Malek and that Live 8 concert, like Paramount, like just fantastic. And still, as long as you have a good sound system, is still deafening at home. But the how much they neuter that movie, that story, and the perspective, and Freddie Mercury's story in the movie really does leave a sour taste in your mouth. And it really contributes to it aging poorly. World War Z, I also think is, I haven't completely read the book, Mara, but I've definitely read parts of it. I know what you mean about it, that I felt much more and more scared reading the book than I ever felt watching the film. Honestly, there's some tense moments in the film, but I do think I laughed more than was necessary at kind of the clunkiness of kind of the special effects and some of the set pieces in the film. I don't think it's a very strong adaptation. And it's really a pick 'em here for me, because I think both of these films are disappointing adaptations of their counterparts, whether real world or fiction. But if I have to pick one, I hadn't even thought about that. I was just talking. I hadn't even thought about it, which one I actually would pick. Shit. I guess I'm just gonna go with World War Z because it's been the longest since I've seen it, and I like Brad Pitt with that little scarf.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote for Brad Pitt and his little I'm
Want me to go get
I'm in,
mine?
like the Middle East. I'm gonna wear this little scarf. Yeah, this will keep me.
Every single person that's Middle Eastern, we get one when we're born. It like comes out with us. So
Yeah. Brad Pitt is like, I'm over here. It's like when they throw like a lei over you when you land in Hawaii. They just throw a scarf over you when you land in like the Middle East. And apparently, yeah. I'm gonna rewatch World War Z. I'm gonna vote for it.
Adam.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. It's interesting. Like I support Rami Malek as well because I love seeing him win an Oscar. And in theory, seeing him win an Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury is cool. But it's like you watch, I don't know. I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's like when I watched American Fiction this year, there's a lot of beats in that movie that felt familiar. But the thing that I thought about was that with Bohemian Rhapsody, it's like the writers saw Walk Hard, and they wrote a movie in earnest based off the structure of Walk Hard as a joke, and it won Oscars. And like when I watched American Fiction this year, I thought a little bit of Bohemian Rhapsody. To be honest with you, just because it when it won Best Editing, do you remember that? Do you guys
Unfortunately, I do remember that. Yes.
I will forever maintain if Bohemian Rhapsody, the exact same movie, was directed by anyone else, it wins Best Picture that year.
Oh yeah.
Bryan Singer cost that movie Best Picture because there's no way in hell they wanted to give it to Green Book.
But but think about that year, Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody.
So Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody were
this good because they weren't going to give it to Black Klansman or Roma. They weren't going to give it to Black Klansman or Roma, and which sucks. Like it should have been one of those two, but yeah.
I don't want to even think about that.
Hey,
Oscars year because it's going to bring me like pain and suffering to remember that we had to live through.
There's a lot to deal with there, and that's
a whole separate conversation.
World War Z, I agree with the adaptation point, and I know the phrase "The Walking Dead" is like irritates certain people at this point, but I'm just gonna say it now. Just so we're clear, I like The Walking Dead as like a premise. I like the comics. I like some of the shows, not all of them. But like like watching the one show the one spinoff they have now that I'm watching is the Rick and Michonne, and it's hit and miss, but it's really like passionate. And when I watch like World War Z, the thing is, it came out at a time when zombie hype was so big, and it was this movie done with this huge budget, and there's some cool like set pieces in it and stuff, but I agree with the scarf. Like I think it goes a long way, but ultimately, both of these movies fall a little short, but I would definitely watch World War Z again first. It's not even a contest.
I can't help but think about World War Z and just think about all that shitty CGI in it. I just think about all those zombies just like plastering themselves against the wall.
Yeah, but think about the editing in Bohemian Rhapsody, and as Mara said, the ivories.
Think about like how awesome that third act climax is. It's actually like so paced so well, like it goes fast and it goes so
it's
super
like
slow.
Three little movies stitched together in a way. They don't all
given
fit,
how much
like, there's so much good, like there's good scenes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Peter Capaldi is awesome.
Yes
as
he always is. True doctor.
Exactly.
All right, well that's our first episode back. guys. We've made it through round 1.
No, we've made it through the wild card.
We made it through the round 1 of the wild card.
Yeah.
1 down, 19 to go. Yeah. So thank you so much to everyone who joined. Given next week is just redoing these movies to try and get down to 1 movie, we don't have any matchup previews just yet.
But you guys know what you're in store for now.
Yeah.
You know what's moving on to next week. So
but in 2 weeks, you'll get we'll start the bracket proper, and that's when it really gets tough.
It's blood.
Really
bloody.
That's when we'll finally watch Cosmopolis.
Knives are out. Yeah.
There's a lot
Can
of
we all
really
just get
great
together and watch it?
Yes.
on the stream, yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, Mara, where can people find you online?
I'm sure I'm on the dark web somewhere. No, I'm not actually up to a lot online right now, but the basement is back. I was in transit this last week, and we had the Oscars, so we haven't recorded for 2 weeks, but we will be this week, so we'll be back again. We've changed up our format, and now we just torture one another, but we're still having some really great conversations. Really looking at there's some really important things you can talk about in movies, even a movie like G-Force, sort of.
Oh shit!
You made me watch G-Force.
Just pulled out G-Force. Hey.
Yeah, so just you can check out the basement if you would like, and if not, then again, you can probably just like scour the dark web if you want.
Adam, Marisol, where can they find you guys online?
Well, we are at Champs on Film on YouTube and Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. What have we done recently?
Yeah, so Champs on Film. Yeah, we have our YouTube, our Instagram, Twitter, blah 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 blah. Oscars is apparently when we come alive, because I've been editing a lot of Oscar videos. We did a pre-Oscar show, we did a post-Oscars show. So you can feel free to click over to our YouTube channel and check those out. We had lots of thoughts about the Oscars and how they went down this year. I love the show. And then we're doing more videos on Champs on Film subsequently. You can keep following us for that. You can also follow us individually with our thoughts. Me on Twitter and Adam on Twitter as well.
Yeah, Twitter and Letterboxd, Eisenthor and Marisol _Mariah. But also just a shout out to a friend and colleague of ours. We did an interview with him last month, Charles Piper, who wrote the screenplay for Destroy All Neighbors, which is streaming now on Shudder or AMC Plus, whichever you have, or you can pay to rent it if you have neither. But it's a really, really fun throwback to like Evil Dead style Sam Raimi horror comedy, and it's a blast. And we had a really fun time talking to him. So please watch the interview and watch his movie, because it's a real like collaborative effort what they did, and more movies like that should exist.
Okay. Tell.
So we haven't had too much going on lately, but we are going to have a new Lights on a Screen podcast episode up finally. Yeah. After our very long unexpected hiatus, we're going to have a new episode up sometime this week. We did our review of this past Oscar show, what we thought of the winners, what we thought of the show. And we have gone back to doing our tradition of way, way, way too early Oscars predictions for next year. Our lists are varied and wild, and I am not convinced we're going to get a single thing right. So check that out. It's super fun. We had a really interesting time trying to narrow down what the show's going to look like next year. Other than that, we're working on some new stuff, but for now it's the Lights on a Screen podcast, which we're trying to get back to doing regularly, and then this show here. Yeah.
And you guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Jacob London. And yeah, so we're back on this show every week, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Sunday nights. We might have some special guests every now and then, but hopefully we got this crew of 5 each and every week. Thank you so much, guys, for coming back and doing this again. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So thank you, guys. Until next time, this has been The Bracket Show.
Bye.